The thoughts, views, and opinions expressed by this podcast, as well as its hosts, are for entertainment purposes only. I repeat, it is not serious. Also, we do not recommend that you try this at home. We are trained professionals, and we do not have your best interests at heart, or our own. Enjoy the show.
Wait, hold on. This wasn't cleared by me. What the hell? I didn't clear any of this.
So, welcome back.
I disregard everything that was said. It should all be tried at home, and nothing's for entertainment at all. It's all serious, and whoever gets mentioned here, by the way, I don't know anything about what's about to happen.
Oh, you have no idea.
Whatever gets mentioned, it's serious.
Kenny has absolutely no idea. I actually haven't told anyone. I haven't told anyone in my friend group exactly what happened in Vegas this year. And as you guys may or may not remember,
how is it possible 1 year later? How is it possible that Vegas is also the hell?
Bro, I have the slowest interactions in Vegas. I swear that place is cursed for me. I don't know I don't know what is like wrong, because I actually love Vegas as a place. And sure. I go pretty much every time they have something there, or even if they don't have something, I go to Vegas because I just love Vegas. And I want to be clear about this before we get into the drama or whatever.
You had fun.
I had a fucking shit ton of fun, Kenny.
Like, oh, man.
Because I didn't really play Yu-Gi-Oh! That weekend, right? Like this is literally the week following YCS Vegas. Because I didn't really play Yu-Gi-Oh! That weekend, it made it like all that much better. But there was a small part of the weekend that did involve Yu-Gi-Oh! And it was in Rant. And I'm going to let you guys listening decide if it's worse than last year, or if it's comparable to last year, or if this is like not as bad. You guys can figure it out. For people who don't know or may not remember.
I'm scared because you know what? I'm going to just say it because I'm about to say it anyway. I don't understand. It's going, in my opinion, I haven't heard the story yet. It's going to be worse. And here's why. The way you're talking about it, I don't know. I mean, I don't know how it could be worse than what happened last year.
Well, let me tell them what happened last year. So last year, I teamed up with my actual teammate, Raikoko, who is on Ring of Destruction. It's like me, Hydro Pump, Silchus Ruin, Raw Neck, all those guys, right? So we teamed up. Raikoko is a renowned Edison player. He's won like 4 major tournaments online. And so me and him spoke before that event last year, and it was the first 3v3 that Konami did for retro formats. Is Goats, Edison, Tengu. I was going to play Tengu. Raikoko played Edison since he had the most wins in that format. And then he said, I also know a guy who could play Goats, and that was AJT. I didn't know AJT at all. But then I reached out to some people. Some people reached out to me and were like, oh, your GOAT teammate is actually insane. He's one of the best GOAT players. AJT is like good money. You're good. Like you're in good hands or whatever. And I trusted everybody. Right. And then as you all know, we get to the tournament round 1. AJT ends up setting a Sinister Serpent into his back row. His opponent then heavy storms.
Trap card.
And then he gets a game loss. And then while this is all happening, me and my opponent are going to game 3. I just beat my opponent in game 2 and I lost game 1. We are going to game 3. It's a Hero Beat mirror match because I was playing Hero Beat, and it's so strange because that I did not expect to play Hero Beat round 1, but it didn't matter. But the thing that kind of happened game 1, if people don't remember that either, is that my opponent was main decking Super Polys, which was like OD, especially in the fucking mirror match. Which is what caught me off guard game 1, but then game 2, like I got to side in my own Super Polys and I just won. And then game 3, that drama unfolds. And yeah, so Raikoko ended up losing round 1. AJT ends up losing round 1. And so me and my opponent do not even get to conclude our game. And so that's the end of round 1. And then we lose round 2. AJT won round 2. Me and Raikoko lost round 2. And that was kind of the end of the tournament. We went 0-2 drop. So that was last year. Me and AJT, it was this big drama that happened. Huge drama.
Which I still think was overblown, but it's fine.
Oh, it was definitely overblown. And we had a conversation.
Way overblown.
We had a conversation, me and him, just by ourselves as men. And it lasted for like 30 minutes. We had a phone call and we hashed out, and we're good. We've been good ever since. Obviously, also at the age that I am, and I assume that he's also in his 30s too. But at the age that I am, I just don't give a fuck I don't hold on to stuff like that when it comes to this game. Like, you get it out. And this podcast for me is an outlet to like talk about my life and talk about things that happen. I just share my story. I share my truths. And that's what I was doing last year. I didn't expect so many people to be butthurt by it, but whatever. But me and him are cool now. Both of us have gone on to do great things. Actually, the whole team went on to do great things after that. Raikoko won another major. I won YCS Indianapolis, and AJT won an EWCQ in Georgia. After
it was a capable team. That weekend.
That's proven.
I don't know.
That is proven.
I don't know what happened.
So
I don't know what happened that weekend.
Yeah, I don't know what happened last year either. But that's what that was the story. Whatever. That's old news now. We're good there. But this year was very interesting. So this year, I actually didn't even go to Vegas with a team. I had a plan that I was going to play with a True Hero and Luke Feeney, who are members of the house. They're my boys. But both of them were going through like other stuff in their life. Not anything crazy, but Luke was moving, and I'll just tell his business. It's not anything crazy. It's not like somebody died or anything. Luke was moving, right? He's literally moving out of his apartment, moving back to Philadelphia, basically, which is actually a great thing that he's moving closer. And a True Hero was like, he's going to take off for other events. And so because he lives all the way in Korea, it's really hard for him to get time off to play in American events. So every time you see him, just know that it took a lot for him to get there, because not only is it extremely expensive for him to fly from Korea, get a hotel and all that stuff in America, but then also like getting time off from work is not as easy, in Korea. So there's that. So that
I'm
fell
gonna just
through.
say they're bitching.
Yeah, I wish that they showed up.
Bitching. Hell yeah, maybe whatever's about to happen wouldn't have happened.
Well,
there's something Frazier may or may not have left out. Okay, last year, whatever drama that unfolded, it's all behind us. It was crazy. It was entertaining. It was fun. It was whatever. But Frazier said on this podcast, I'll never do a Theory 3 again.
Yep.
If I don't personally know the people. Because as we've established, the people on that team are well-rounded, accoladed up players.
Yes.
AJT won tournaments, Raikoko won tournaments, Frazier's won tournaments. All extremely good players, but there's something that comes with the chemistry of personally being personal friends with people that help with the ability to perform in a 3v3 tournament.
Right.
A really quick side note, you guys know I love to reference Melee. Back when Melee used to do doubles a lot, when that was a very competitively active format of Smash Bros. Melee, one of the best doubles teams was SFAT and Pew Pew U. SFAT and Pew Pew U go on to become really good players, but they don't ever become like top 5 players. But in teams, in doubles, they were the team to beat. They were like the best team in the world because they just had this chemistry that was almost unmatched. They were really, really good. So I say all that to say, Frazier had a similar statement, but now here we are. He goes to Vegas. The Yu-Gi-Oh bug is itching. He doesn't have a team. His friends aren't there. He's all alone in the big, scary world.
So let me actually say that the Yu-Gi-Oh bug was not itching. In fact, I'm glad you brought that part up, because what I want to say is I have needed a break going into this event. And I've expressed this multiple times now. I said that this year I'm taking a backseat, especially compared to the way I played last year, where I played in like almost everything, online and in person. I'm burnt out. That is just a fact. I needed a break before YCS Vegas, but I had already booked YCS Vegas last year when I wasn't burnt out, right? And so like when Vegas is coming up, I'm already not really feeling playing Edison right now. And when I went, I decided instead of going 100% into this 3v3, this tournament, where honestly, another thing about the 3v3 is that if you do not have a team that you fully like trust or know or whatever, then it is hard to be that committed, in my opinion, just because it's not all in your control, and that is going to also be expressed here. But like, I've needed a break, and thankfully for me, this last month, like Monster Hunter came out at the end of February, and also I discovered multiple anime that I like. I've been watching Freerun, I've been watching Solo Leveling, and so I've been doing like, and Final Fantasy VII Rebirth also came out on PC. All of this happened. All of this for me happened in February. I started all of those anime. I started playing Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, and then Monster Hunter also came out at the end of the month. So I was like, oh, this is perfect. I have so much to do outside of Yu-Gi-Oh right now, and I'm still making content for the channel and stuff like that, and doing all of those things. But in terms of competitively playing the game, I was like, I want to do more streaming of events. I want to do more just like content stuff. And I want to also just do other things that don't involve either of them, which is the anime, the video game, stuff like that. Like, I just want to enjoy things outside of competitive Yu-Gi-Oh. So going into Vegas, once my plans fell through, and they had told me a while ago that they weren't going to be able to do it. At one point they thought they were going to be able to. This is Luke Feeney and Cairo. Once they said they weren't going to be able to do it, I was like, you know what? Whatever. This event at this point for me is just going to be a fun thing. Like, I'm going to enjoy Vegas. So what I did was I booked a really, really fancy hotel for Vegas. This was the nicest hotel I've ever stayed in Vegas, and it's actually one of the nicest hotels in all of Vegas. And it was the Four Seasons. It was $500 a night. I was there for 5 days, and it was amazing. Like, that part of my trip is godly. Like, I loved all the dinners that we went to. We had a lot of great food. All of that is like, Vegas, I did my shopping. I love expensive things. I love like designer things and stuff like that. So I did that. And if you follow me on Instagram, you would have seen from Thursday to Monday that I was posting like pretty much a lot of stuff that I was doing out in Vegas. I played slots. I found a new addiction. I never really played slots before, but I actually like slot.
No.
I like slot machines.
What the fuck?
Well, hold on. It's not that bad.
What
it's not that bad. The only reason why it's not that bad is because I don't go to casinos in my real life anyway. The only time I'll ever go to a casino is when I'm in Vegas. Vegas is a once a year thing. So, but it is a new addiction. I really, really, really like slot machines now. Like I really enjoy those.
You're not far from a casino.
No, I'm not. I'm not far from multiple casinos, actually. There are so many near me.
So all it takes is just one of those. Because here's the other thing. You also have degenerate friends that love casinos.
I do.
So now that, I like slot machines. So now when they're talking about going to the casino and normally like, I'm going to go home and play Monster Hunter. Now it'll be in the middle of an update. Like the new content's not out yet. You're like, I kind of did everything I need to do in Monster Hunter.
Yep.
And then they're going to be talking about going to the casino. You're like, you can spin a couple slots. And then you fucking go there and then you come back in your fucking underwear. You know?
Damn. Now me get naked. So yeah, I had an amazing time in Vegas overall just because I turned this one into a vacation regardless of what happened with the Yu-Gi-Oh event. I was like, I'm going into this. Usually, not to say that I stay at shitty hotels when I go to Vegas, but I don't stay at like a 5-star hotel. Like, though, to be clear, the Four Seasons is a 5-star hotel. It is very high end. The way they treat you is unlike anything I've ever experienced. Like literally every time you pull up in your Uber, like you're returning to your hotel, they like there's multiple like guys in the front, like doormen. They walk up to your car and open your door for you. And when your Uber arrives and you're leaving the hotel, so let's say I called an Uber and I'm going somewhere else, I'm going to some other hotel or whatever, I'm going to some other place, they also walk up to the car and open the door for you before you even get in. And like, there's this whole thing, they open the doors of the hotel for you every time you walk towards the lobby. Like it's insane the amount of service you get. You get what you pay for. So this whole experience, like the room was beautiful, although they did have some $17 M&Ms in a jar that I thought was hilarious. And I took a video of that. I didn't know they had all these snacks. It was like a Snickers, Twizzlers, M&Ms. They were all in jars. And I took the M&Ms off and I took a little video on Instagram that I posted, and everyone started messaging me like, yo, when you touch those M&Ms, you remove them off of that thing, they like charge you for that. Like that's how they know that you ate, I'm using air quotes here, that you ate the M&Ms because you removed it from that thing that's weighted. And I did notice that when I took the M&Ms out, from the jar, well, they're still in the jar, but I took the whole thing and lifted it up, that there was this little like black thing that flipped up kind of like a little thing, like a stand on a switch on the back of a switch. It's like that lift up. And I didn't know what it was.
Because of scams.
Right. So we're going to get to that too. So I lift the jar of M&Ms up and I look at it and I take a video for Instagram. I'm like, I cannot believe that this jar of M&M peanuts, which has less M&M peanuts in it than an actual fucking regular 50 cent or probably $1 nowadays with inflation, but $1 little bag of M&Ms. This has less than that in it. Like it's like they poured half of it and then probably went to someone else's room and put the other half in that jar. It's $17, bro. And every other candy thing was $17. So that was crazy to me. I took that video. That video was like 30 seconds. Then I put them back where I found them, which was on top of that thing. And yeah, multiple people messaged me and were like, yo, do not, like, you touch that, you're probably getting charged for that. Like honestly, like you're actually, because you pick that up and that thing is weighted and it's like a sensor that sends it to the hotel, whatever, you're getting charged $17 for that. And I was like, I told everybody, no, I'm not. Like I promise you, when this trip is over, when I get my bill, when I check out, that $17, if it's on my bill, it will be off, or the entire hotel $2,500 charge will be off. So they can either charge me for $17 and lose the entire weekend transaction, or they can remove the $17 and I just pay what I actually owe and be done with it. But if they do try to charge me $17 for those M&Ms, I was so serious about this, I am fully charging back the hotel. So and I went down to the lobby the last day I was there and I was like, hey, I'm checking out. They gave me the slip or whatever like that. And I was like, hey, just by the way, when I first got here on Thursday, I didn't know that this is how this works, but there was a bunch of candy on this little thing and I grabbed one of them just to look at it and then I put it back down, and I was told that it would charge me if I did that. So I just want to be clear that I am not paying for the M&Ms that are still up in that room right now. Like they are still in the jar with the plastic on the jar and everything. They are virtually untouched. They're unscathed. But if you guys try to charge me for that, I'm not having it. And I just let the lady know. She's like, oh, no, it's fine. Like it's time based. And if you put it back within a reasonable amount of time, I was like, okay, I'm just saying, when you give me this bill, hopefully I don't see that on there. Hopefully you guys don't try to charge me for like after as an incidental or something like that. Because I am so serious about I am not paying $17 for M&Ms ever. I don't give a fuck how much money I have either. Like that's just not okay. Especially because I do feel like when you said it earlier, Kenny, it's kind of a scam.
It's definitely a scam. Like that's the thing about Vegas. I'm gonna take shots at y'all whole city. That whole place is a scam. Everything they do in Vegas, they try to get over on you. And like I remember when I went to Vegas in 2012, it's the last. No, well, okay, hold on.
Yeah, you've been going to Vegas every year for the last couple years.
Yeah, I go to Vegas every year for the last couple years, for family stuff. But when I go, I don't go walk like the tourist spots of Vegas. I'm hanging out in the places where people actually live.
Yeah, I mean? You don't go to the strip.
I'm not in the tourist place. The last time I went to Vegas and actually was a tourist was in 2012. And when I was there, I could not walk outside without somebody trying to scam me. Just real quick, 2 stories. I think I've told them before, but just in case. One was there's a bunch of people cosplaying. There was fucking Bumblebee Transformers. There was Spider-Man and all kinds of shit. And there was somebody that was dressed up as the doll from Saw. Like, you know, the clown face with the red swirly.
I don't know why anyone would do that, but okay.
Yeah, he was dressed up as that, and he was like on a tricycle and shit. And I was like laughing or whatever. And then he walks up to me because he sees me looking at him, and he's like, "Do you want to take a picture?" And I was like, "Sure, why not?" Like,
oh God,
I'm having fun. We take the picture. I'm like, "All right," and then he goes, "You owe me $5." So what? He was like, "You owe me $5. Like I do this for a living. Like this is my job. I'm out here. I make costumes. I take."
He does not know who he ran into on this day.
He was like, "You owe me $5. Like it's $5." And I was like, you didn't. This wasn't agreed upon when we took the picture. Like, you just like and so there's this whole thing. He was like, "Yeah, but like you got a service from me," and he's like arguing about it. And I was like, "I'll just delete the picture." Yeah. Like, I take my phone back out and I'm like going to it. And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm just going to delete it." He's like, "No. Like we already took the picture. Like you owe me $5." I was like, "I don't know who you shit." And
like it can get very irate.
The picture, but not before I copied the picture. But I deleted the picture in front of him just to show him. Boom, I deleted it.
Right.
Now I also copied it because I'm that guy.
Not only that, Kenny, but like phones nowadays, they back up everything anyway. Like if I show someone that I deleted a picture out of my phone, it's in my iCloud already. It's in my recently deleted folder. And you know, I've never had to do this before because I'm not a child, but most people hopefully are smart enough to know that if someone shows you them deleting a picture out of their phone, you need to make sure it's deleted from multiple other places on top of just deleting it from their photos, recent pictures gallery. Like that's not enough.
So there's that. The other one, and in a way, this one I thought, I mean, they're both really annoying. The other one was I was walking down and a guy walks up to me and he's like, "Yo, you want to hear my CD? You want to hear my CD? You want to hear my CD? Like, listen to my mixtape, listen, blah, blah, blah." And he keeps trying to hand me like his CD, his mixtape, whatever. I'm like, "No, I'm good. No, I'm good. No, I'm good." But he's like following me and he's like pushing it into my chest. I'm like, "All right, yeah, I'll check it out. I'll check your music out." Like I take it and then like I keep walking. He goes, yo. And then like he goes like, "Oh, like what you got for me?" I was like, "What?"
Oh God, these people are so annoying.
People give me like $5, $10, $15. Like I'm like, "For what?" He's like, "I just gave you my music. Like you gotta buy that." I was like, "You fucking pushed it into my chest."
Right.
I was like, "I don't want it. I took it so you would leave me alone." And I just like frisbeed it back at him.
Yeah,
I was like, "Here."
That happened to me too. I didn't know any better.
I don't fucking want your music. I'm not paying you for you shoving. Like, could you like no? Fuck you. And that was my experience the entire time I was in Vegas. There was always somebody doing some random shit, forcing it upon you, and then telling you to fucking pay them. It's so annoying.
I had exact experience, not in Vegas with the CD one, but I think I was in New York, and a guy walked up to me and my group of friends and like was passing out CDs, and none of us were taking them. But like you said, they follow you and they keep going and going and going. Like, bro, just support a black artist. Just support me, man. Bro, I'm out here just trying to make it like everybody else. I got a family to feed. Blah, blah, blah. I just want you to listen to it, bro. I should just give it a chance. So eventually, now my friends are just all stoic on this whole thing. They're not saying anything. They have no emotions. They're just walking. But I, who is an empath, I'm like, you know what? You know, this guy's trying to do his thing. I'll take his CD. No big deal. I'll just take his CD. I'm not going to listen to it. I don't even have anything that can play CDs in my household. Like, I'm not even kidding. Right now, there's not a single device. There's not a single device in my entire household right now that can take CDs. I am not kidding.
I guess maybe my PS5. I don't even know if the PS5 can do that anymore.
Mine doesn't have a disk drive. My PS5?
Oh, yeah, mine does.
Mine does not have a disk drive, and it probably doesn't play regular ass CDs, just by the way.
Yeah, that's the thing. I don't even know if it does that. I know it does, like, Blu-rays.
Yeah, because that's what Sony is known for. But anyway, to the point, I don't have any device that can play, so I was just taking a CD out of kindness to just get him to shut the fuck up. And as soon as I took it, he did the same type of thing, like, "Oh, what do you got for me?" And I was like, "Huh?" And he's like, you know, you could tip me whatever you want. And I was like, I'm not tipping you for this. I don't even want this. He's like, why'd you take it? I was like, I took it because you wouldn't shut the fuck up.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, bro.
And then all my friends stopped and we all just kind of like looked at him, and I put my hand out and I gave the CD back, and he acted like he didn't want to take it back. So then I fucking let my fingers go, and it just fell flat because it was in a white envelope thing, and it just fell
Not
flat on the ground.
It's like, not you doing to me what I did to you. How you gonna act like you don't want to take it? I didn't want to take it. Fuck
like,
you.
Apparently nobody wants to shit.
Could you imagine? Yeah.
Apparently nobody wants
it. Imagine you give it back and you go, what you got for me? Like, usually people tip me.
Right.
You got a tip for me? Like,
I fucking dropped that shit on the ground, and he wouldn't pick it up, and I stepped right over it, and I kept walking. Like, we're not doing this. People are crazy. But I did have another experience in Vegas like that in past years, I think in like 2015, where a group of girls dressed really nice, but really, you know, scantily dressed or whatever. Like, they basically had on bikinis with like angel wings or whatever. And they walked up, and they were feeling on me and touching me, and they were like, damn, baby, you know, you look great. You want to take a picture? And me who's innocent, right? Because this is over 10 years ago, right? Me who's completely innocent, didn't know any better. So I'm like, sure. Like, what could be wrong with me taking a picture with these two hot girls, right? So they cuddle me up. I pull my phone out. I give it to my friend. And then one of my other friends was like, yo, you're going to have to pay for that.
Yeah, fuck you.
And I was like, huh? And he was like, yeah, if you take a picture with them, you're going to have to pay for it. And I was like, oh, wait, is that? And they were like, oh, yeah, like we do need payment if we're taking this picture. I was like, why didn't you say that?
Yep.
And I just like shrugged out of them because they were both like hand on my chest, hand on my shoulder, leaning over, and I was in the middle, and they were fully ready to take this picture. They looked good. Do not get me wrong. They looked good, but like I was so disgusted by that.
Yep.
And so I just kind of like shrugged my way off it, like, get off me. And then I just walked forward, grabbed my phone, and walked away. And that just, that soured me forever. Like every time I see girls like that walking the strip, now I know what they do. Like I know how their operation works. They take the picture first, and then they try to make you feel pressured to pay for it. Because they know, and they obviously Vegas has been around longer than me and you, they know that if they tell you straight up what the price is, you're not going to pay for it. What's your idea?
Guys, I just had an idea. I'm not going to say it because you guys you'll fucking steal it from me. Somebody probably already did a video like this. I'm not going to say it. One of these days, I'm going to Vegas with Frazier. After this podcast,
I'm so down for that.
We're going to fucking do this. I think this.
It's a great idea. All right, yeah. Well,
it's great. We'll talk about it later. Moving on.
All right, so let's go to let's get into like the meat of all this thing. So Thursday, I arrive in Vegas. I arrive Thursday morning. We go out, we eat some amazing food. I have a lot of food recommendations, so I'll just kind of like go through those real quick. In Vegas, if you're there, Lolo's Chicken and Waffles was the first place we ate at. Some of the best chicken and waffles I've ever had. It was amazing. It's black owned. There are all black servers and cooks in there, and they throw the fuck down. That food is amazing. The drinks are also amazing, but do not get the Don Julio slushy drink. It comes in a bottle of Don Julio, and it's a $55 drink. Me and all my friends got it, which was, I guess, $200 for the four of us to get that drink. Well, $220 because it's $55. But none of us felt like we actually got any real like tipsy or buzzed or whatever from that whole thing, and we all finished even Gus, who does not drink really, even he who, you know, after he finished didn't really feel anything. So the food was amazing. The drink I do not recommend, just because I don't think there was much alcohol in it, and I feel like if you're paying that price, you should actually feel something afterwards. Also, this was the first place we went to right off the plane. We landed, we all checked into our hotels or whatnot, and then we all went to Lolo's Chicken and Waffles. But that place, the food is crack. I would consider it an S-tier restaurant in there. And judging by the line that was outside the door and the number of people that were in there, and the fact that we had to like book a reservation for it in advance and all that, I assume that the place is also cracked to people who live in the area. So Lolo's Chicken and Waffles, that's the first one. Carbone, Italian restaurant. It's in New York. It's in Vegas. It's amazing. It's also, it might be in Miami, but I'm not sure. But yeah, it's amazing. It's an Italian place. It's a famous Italian place. It is known for being extremely hard to get a reservation at, especially the New York location. But they're known for this dish called spicy rigatoni, and their spicy rigatoni has been rapped about by multiple different artists over the course of the last several years. So if you heard multiple people talking about this, that's what they're talking about. The spicy rigatoni at Carbone, or getting a reservation at Carbone. These are all bars that have been said in rap songs and stuff like that. Anyway, so that's one of the other places. The best food I had was on the last day I was there. And shout out to Simo's wife, Brittany, who I've become great friends with over the last couple of years. And me and her went out on a solo mission to Wing Lei, which is a Michelin star Chinese restaurant in the Wynn Hotel. It was the best food I had the entire trip. And it's funny because it was on the last day. That place is fucking insane. The service was insane. The service was tier 0. But on top of that, the food just was so flavorful, so good. The Chinese know what they're doing. I'm very basic when it comes to Chinese food. Like, I'm a General Tso's or fried wings and shrimp fried rice. Very, very American Chinese food. But this place, they have like that kind of stuff too, which is nice. But they also just have like, actual Chinese cuisine and stuff. And it was just so fucking good. Their fried rice was amazing. It had minced pork in it. It had shrimp. They had beef spare ribs. They had dumplings that had truffles and pork inside of it.
We're gonna have to get past this food talk. All right, I haven't eaten yet today.
I know. I'm sorry, but I gotta give the people the full portrait of Vegas.
You're killing me.
Wing Lei in the win, Michelin star. You have to book a reservation like a month in advance. You cannot just show up to it. They will not let you in. So this had been booked in advance. And this goes back to what I was saying.
Wing Lei was booked, and
Lolo's and Carbone.
Lolo's was booked. And
all the whole
three.
Yeah, all of the places that I went. Also, there's another place I have to talk about too. But every place I went to, we booked over a month in advance, because some of these places, if not all of them that I just named, you kind of have to. Lolo's, I don't think you have to as much, but you should, because there's a line out the door if you kind of don't. But the other places, it's really, really hard to get it. Like, you're not getting in Carbone by just going to Vegas and trying to walk up to Carbone. You're not doing that. And you're also not doing that to the Michelin star restaurant, Wing Lei. That just is not happening. That place, when they open at 5:30 p.m. until the time they close, is sold out every single day, because it is known to be one of them ones.
Wing Lei sounds like a Tekken character.
It does. Shanghua, Wing Lei. So the other place, and I think this is the last one that I'll go over, is called the Golden Steer. It is the first ever steakhouse in Vegas. So it has like
what?
Exactly. It has historical precedence.
It's old though.
Oh yeah, it's the first ever steakhouse in Vegas. Yeah. Like it predates all other steakhouses in Vegas.
When you said that though, my brain went like, they just opened it up, and I was like, how's that even fucking possible?
No.
But then I
see what you're saying. Yeah.
Timeline.
Yeah. No, it is the first one that ever existed in Las Vegas. So the Golden Steer, they're known for these gigantic fucking lobster tails, like gigantic lobster tails, and their steak is also phenomenal. They have all these different cuts. They have prime rib, they have filet, they have what they call the longhorn, which is a gigantic slice of meat, and they actually cut it like a tomahawk for you. They slice it for you so that the table can just like grab with tongs and pull it to their individual plates. They use a lot of butter, and in all the videos on Instagram and TikTok and YouTube and stuff like that, if you look up the Golden Steer, you will see like when content creators go there, they get the lobster tail and the servers take a fucking thing of butter, like melted butter, and they drench it all over. They like pour it all over the top of the lobster, and it is very fucking good. Although that was the most expensive place that we went to. So that one, just be prepared to spend like $300 a person. Minimum 300 a person. So that place was the most expensive place we went to, but the food was pretty good. But Wing Lei was the best. Wing Lei is also extremely expensive, and even Simo and his wife, I think they said they go there for like special occasions and things like that. And yeah, but it's amazing. Like, that place is crack. So those were, my food recommendations. I'll just get those out there before we continue. So yeah, Thursday, had a great time shopping, all that stuff. Friday is the day of pre-registration. So this is the day when everyone goes to the actual YCS venue and they're just chilling, right? There's nothing to really do except for the main event players, you have to register. You have to pre-reg or whatever, like show up to check-in. So you pay online and then you show up on Friday to check in. But the retro players don't have to actually do this. So retro players don't have to show up to Friday at all. But a lot of people did just cause. So I showed up after shopping and having fun. I showed up to the venue and I saw a couple people and I was like, yo, they were asking me, who's your team? I was like, honestly, right now, I don't even have a team. And I talked to people about this before I even went to the event. I was like, I might not even play. Like, there's a high chance I don't even play in this YCS Vegas because honestly, I don't really care. And I don't really want to play. Like, it's not that big of a deal for me. So when I showed up, I was telling people who were asking, like, who's your team? Who's your team? I was like, I don't even think I'm playing or whatever. And so eventually, this one guy who I found on Facebook who was like, I could play either Goats or Tengu. Doesn't matter to me. If we could just find a third, we could put together a team. I was like, okay, I'll think about it, right? Like, we'll figure it out. So I was like, I'm open to this because, again, I'm not going into a super try hard. I haven't been like super competitive or anything like that. It's something to do on Saturday morning. And I was saying that if it goes south, I can just go enjoy Vegas like I was already doing the last 2 days I've been here, right? Because at that point it would be Saturday. I've been here since Thursday morning. So I was like, we'll see what happens. If we can't find a third, I'm so down to not play. Like, and most people heard me say, like, I am so down to just not even show up on Saturday. Eventually, my friend Drew, now this is somebody who I do know. I've known him for well over 10 years. He's from Delaware. We go to the same local. He's an AU person, good friends with Silverman, good friends with like my whole friend group. Everyone knows Drew. Drew knows everyone, right? Him and Xavier are best buds. They travel together. They go to all these regionals and events together and stuff like that to do their thing. So I see him and I was like, yo, what are you doing on Saturday? Like, do you want to play on this 3v3 team? We need a Tengu player. The other guy said he will play goats. This is very last minute, so I'm not expecting like the world. He's like, I don't have a deck. I was like, obviously you don't have a deck. I can get you a deck though. I was like, if that's what you need to play, I can get you a deck. I go to the guy who won last year with Silverman, Josh. Shout out to Joshua Lytle. I go to Josh and I'm like, yo, Josh, do you have your Tengu deck that you won with last year? And he's like, yeah, I actually have it. Do you need it? And I was like, sure. He's like, I have a max rarity copy and I have a low rarity copy of it. And I said, whatever one you're comfortable with giving me. You can give me what I don't care. And Silverman was like, obviously Frazier's good for it. For Silverman, for no reason, and I love Silverman for no reason. He's like, also, I'm on the line for it. Like he just put him. He's like Frazier's good, and also if you didn't feel like he was good for whatever reason, I will replace literally every single card in that deck if it came to it. And I'm just like standing there laughing, and Josh is like, no, it's good. Like here, and he just gives me the deck. I open it and I look at it, and the first thing I see is like a double sleeved first edition BLS, and I was like, oh, you gave me the expensive one. So now I have the deck that won last year, the exact Tengu deck, card for card that won last year with Steve Silverman, Joshua Lytle, and Nishat. I have that exact deck, and I'm like, all right, Drew, here's your deck for tomorrow. It's Tengu plants. He's like, oh shit, I actually love plants. Like I'm so down to play that. Like this is one of the decks that I am fond of in retro Yu-Gi-Oh. And I trust Drew as a player. Like he's a solid player and everything like that. Like no, I don't feel like, oh, he's going to throw or he's going to be bad or anything like that. Like I feel like he could play and he won't bother me and like need me at every step. Something like that. Like he actually knows how to play the game to a very good level. So me, him, and so the other guy's name is Eric, the guy who I really don't know, and he's going to be the Go player. So I create a group chat, which is like the thing that I feel like, you should do just for clear and precise communication amongst three people. I create a group chat and I'm like, yo, this is the group chat. Anything you need to say towards the team or anything like that we should know about, just put it here. I was like, first off, we need to register. And the first person who needs to register is the Go player, which means Eric, you have to register first. And you also have to create like the team name and stuff like that. And he was like, okay, no problem. Just send me the link or whatever. So I send the link to the group chat. Here's where you go to register. And this is going to be the same link that everyone uses to register. Because player A has to go first. The Go player goes first. This is where it's about to get so unhinged. And I swear these stories write themselves. So I send the link and he goes on the page and he's like, all right, I am at the sign up thing. It says team name. What do you want the team name to be? And I was thinking about it and I was like, why don't we call it team late registration? Because one, it's kind of like it is a double entendre. We are literally registering on the Friday night before the event, right? So that's one. We're registering Friday night before the event. So it's super late because most people who are there already have a team, right? Like most people who are playing at this event, they've flown to this event with their team. They're meeting their team there, but they know who they're playing with. They're not making a team on Friday before the event. So I was like, let's call it team late registration. Also, it's a play on Kanye's album, Late Registration. So that's kind of like the idea. Oh boy. that name. Oh, that name. So I'm like, all right, sign up.
Wait, Kanye or late registration?
The name late registration and also it being a double entendre for, everything to happen. So
this calls to draw. Okay.
No, but the name itself is funny because I was like, oh, this is a kind of a funny name, right? Like,
yeah.
As soon as I said it, because Drew's a huge Kanye fan, or both of us were a huge fan of Kanye before all the antics. Like right now, it's Kanye's just doing too much.
See his most recent tweet? Not his tits.
You mean his most recent, 1,000 tweets? Yes, he's off the fucking rails.
There's one that
right
just came out, I think the other day. It's deleted, obviously. But he was just like, to all the gay people, I love saying the gay F
Yes,
word.
I've already posted it. He's like, I need you to know I'm not trying to be offensive, but I also need you to know I'm not going to stop using it. And I was like, I retweeted that. I literally retweeted it because I thought that shit was so unhinged.
Oh, God.
Kanye's off the rails. So not a fan of his antics lately. But anyway, because he's, So Eric, the Go player, he's like, all right, I signed up. So the team name is created. I'm player A, which is the Go player. He did everything. He did everything he's supposed to do. No problems there whatsoever. So I'm like, okay, now I'm player B. The Edison player goes next. That's me. I'm the Edison player. I sign up. They ask you to put in your team name. I type in late registration. I pay my $25. My credit card gets charged. I get the little notification. Everything's great. Now it's Drew's turn. Drew does the exact same thing. Now he's player C. He types in late registration. He even shows me his phone because me and Drew are next to each other. He shows me his phone and he's like, all right, is this good? Like, is this right? Did I spell everything right? Did I do it? And I'm like, yep, that says late registration for the team name. That all looks good. Now, to be clear, we're not actually registering late per se, right? Like that's not, if you're wondering about, like, we didn't register late. Like that is not what actually happened. Our team name is team late registration just because, again, we're registering on a Friday night before the event when everyone else there probably just has a team already constructed. Boy. So then I put in the group chat, I was like, okay, we're registered. We all got the charge. We all got the notification. Now we have to submit our deck list by 10 a.m. the next day. No big deal. This is just the next step in making sure that we're all in this tournament. Submit our deck list by 10 a.m. So I put in the group chat, hey, just by the way, Drew, Eric, you have to submit your deck by 10 a.m. And I do have, where's my phone? I do have all the text messages in the group text and everything like that on my phone. Because, I don't delete messages. So I did tell everybody like, hey, 10 a.m. tomorrow, you gotta submit your deck list. So to be clear, okay, so let me retell an earlier part. So Josh gives me the deck on Saturday morning, not Friday night. Like I tell him I need the deck for the tournament, and he's like, I will give it to you tomorrow because it's at the Airbnb that we're staying at. Just to like put this all, and this is relevant. The fact that I get the deck on Saturday morning. Now, mind you, Drew is the Tengu player, right? Drew's going to be playing Josh's Tengu deck, which means that he will need to know the deck list in order to even put the deck list in, right? And so we're not getting a deck list. But I was like, you know what? We'll all just show up on well, me and Drew at least. We'll show up on Saturday morning really early. And this is when Josh hands me the deck and like Silverman's like, I'll vouch for it and all this summer stuff. That whole thing. So that's all Saturday. So we show up. Well, I show up Saturday at like, I'm there at the convention center at 9 a.m. The event doesn't start until 11 a.m. and you have to submit your deck list by 10 a.m. All right. Are we all clear there? So your deck list has to be in by 10. I'm
lined up.
Yep. Your deck list has to be there by 10. The tournament starts at 11 and I'm there at 9, right? 2 hours before we even start. So I have Drew's deck in hand. I physically have his deck in hand. Josh,
one second. I'm sorry. I think when you're talking, there's like a buzz.
I do hear that too. And I don't know. Give me a sec. Let me see if I can. All right. So minor technical difficulty there. I don't know what that hissing thing was, but I think it has to do with my gain. Anyway, I adjusted my microphone, so hopefully it's not as bad, but I will be a little bit lower now because I lowered my gain on my microphone. So I physically have the deck that Drew is going to play, and it is 9 a.m. And Drew's like, I'm on my way to the event or whatever like that. So I'm slightly nervous about this because while I do not really have stakes in this tournament and I threw together a team at the very last minute, if we're going to get to this point, right, we might as well actually do everything right and everything, go right. So I'm messaging Eric. I'm like, hey, where are you at? Now, granted, he doesn't need to be there, at the same time because he has his physical deck. He owns his GOAT deck that he's going to play. He's playing Chaos Turbo, which is the best deck in the format or whatever. So like he doesn't need to be there at 9 a.m. like us. I didn't expect him to be there at 9 a.m.
I still feel like it's good like you should. You never know what's going to go wrong.
Right.
You know what I mean? You got to get everything. You want to be registered. In my opinion, and I'm a little like OCD about stuff like this, I'd probably get there at 8:30. Yes. Not everybody's got to do that, but I'm one of those guys where I want there to be a fucking hour of leeway.
Maybe I want to be done next time.
And it's like, I don't want there to be any
master and disaster in person because honestly, with how shitty this whole thing goes, which is so funny that I do think that having someone like you would actually benefit the team. But okay, so I'm there at 9 a.m. I'm the first one there, and I'm texting Eric and Drew in the group chat. Drew is active and saying that he's on his way. Eric has not responded, but again, I'm not too worried, but there is a slight little ping in my chest like, that's not good. And I look at the last time he messaged the group chat, and it was like at 4 a.m. saying, I need a tribe infected virus and a trap dust shoot, which I thought was weird because we had all of Friday at the event when all the vendors are set up, including like alternate universes and all of the vendors, right? Like there was ample time on Friday to get a trap dust shoot and a tribe infected virus, but he didn't pick up the cards on Friday. So I am seeing this 4 a.m. message. Now, granted, I was not awake at 4 a.m. Despite the fact that it's Vegas, I wasn't awake at 4 a.m. Like that just wasn't a thing. Also, 4 a.m. in Vegas is actually 7 a.m. in Philadelphia where I live. But so I was asleep. But then when I wake up and I get dressed and everything like that, I see that he needs a tribe and a trap dust shoot. So I thought that was a little strange, but I was like, whatever, not that big of a deal. So I'm waiting. Drew eventually shows up. Drew shows up at 9:40. The deck list is due at 10 a.m. Me and Drew talked for literally all of 30 seconds, and I'm like, all right, let's go find a table so you could put your deck list in. He was like, I also took the initiative to start writing in cards that I know are in a Tengu Plant deck on the web. Like, I said, wow, that's actually brilliant. That makes so much sense, right? I was like, he was like, I was getting ready. I was in the Uber, and I can't really do anything in the Uber anyway. So I might as well start. Like, I know it plays 3 Tengu. I know it plays 3 Torga. I know it plays BLS. I know it plays Global and Spore and Lone Fire and Debris and Warning and Torrential and Dushu. He's like, I know it plays a lot of these cards and Maxis and Valor, and I know the extra deck has these cards in it, Leviathan Dragon, Levier, things like that. So he's like, I put in as much as I could think of, and just like as much as I assume would be in a deck list for a Tengu deck, and then I'll just edit it. When you give me the actual list, I'll lay out the cards. So we get to a table, and it's 9:45ish, like 9:40 something. Like it's late until it's like mid 9:40 something like that. So I'm like, holy shit, because the way you have to put in deck lists, for people who are listening, some of you know that the way you put in deck lists on this website that Konami has, the side event, is really not intuitive at all. It is really bad. You have to type in the name of the card, then a drop down comes up with all the different cards that have that name or contain that name. So if you typed in like Valor,
you know what's crazy? This is one of the, I'm sorry to interrupt, but this is one of those things where like it's so easy for the official company to do the right thing, and like I don't know, they're just idiots. But Dueling Book exists, right? Now I'm not saying they should use Dueling Book. That's crazy. But Dueling Book exists, and it's probably one of those things that like would be on Konami's chopping block at some point. If they can shut Dueling Book down, they will.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
They shut down Dueling Network. But like, why not just make a website that functions like Dueling Book in terms of like just drag and drop the card? Like boop, 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 boop. That's the deck list. Like it's not that fucking hard. Like I don't understand if random kids could do it for Dueling Book. Like I'm sure
they also have
top executives at a big company.
They also have this other app called Neuron, the Neuron app. They use it in the UK, right, for YCSs. But the Neuron app is an app that's accepted by Konami here as well. I think it is by them too. Like when you load the app, I even have it on my phone, even though it's useless for retro players right now. But the app allows you to put in deck lists, and it's very intuitive the way you do it. And you can like use that for your submissions in the UK YCSs. You can use that as your submission for your deck list. It is tied to the Konami of Europe website where you can like submit your deck list through this Neuron app. For whatever fucking reason, the US Konami does not have that integration yet. And I don't think they're planning to do it because Europe has had this integration for a while, for years. What I'm saying is it already exists. Like a better solution than putting in your deck list one by one. So if you type in Veil, then it'll drop down Veil of Darkness, Effect Veiler, like whatever other Veil cards. It'll it'll drop down all of those, and you can put them in. You know, you put in the Effect Veiler, then you have to select your quantity, then you have to select main deck or side deck. Basically, there's like a little button for side deck that if it's going to your side deck, you have to check that off. If it's going to your main deck, you leave it unchecked, and then you click add, and then it adds the cards. What's annoying about this is that one, it will let you over add a card. So if you clicked it twice, it'll add 6 Effect Veilers to your deck. That's really annoying. Also, if you added 3 to your side deck and you already have 3 in your main deck,
Book, it goes limit reached.
Yeah, it won't let you. It literally will not let you.
How can the official Konami thing let you put 6 of a card in your deck?
Yeah.
All right.
So it'll let you over add cards. Here's the one that I really, really don't like. Someone accidentally got a game loss last year because they were playing 2 econs and they wanted to go down to 1 econ. So they tried to edit the econ thing, and somehow it got messed up where they now have a deck list that reads econ 2 and econ 1. And I remember this. The fact that it allows you to have 2 separate lines with the same card with different quantities next to them, that is stupid. Like there's no excuse for that at all. Like there's no reason why I should let econ exist on 2 separate lines with 2 different quantities. What I'm saying is that if you put an econ 1, and then you can put another econ 1, and you can put another econ 1. Now you have 3 econs on your deck. Instead of just having a 1 line that says 3 econs, it allows you to do it doesn't update the quantity when you do it. In fact, if you want to update the quantity of a card, you have to delete the one that you already have. So if you have 3 econs and you say, I'm going to play 2, you have to delete the 3 line and then add a 2 line to it. Instead of just like changing the quantity that's already on the deck list, you cannot do that. You have to fully delete the 3 econs that you already have there. You have to type an econ again and put that you're playing 2 of it now. That's how it works. And I don't know, this might be hard to follow if you've never done this before, but people who have used this fucking thing, they know exactly what I'm talking about. People dread putting their deck list in now because of how bad the system is for doing it. It is really, really not intuitive. It's one of my biggest gripes right now with like competitive Yu-Gi-Oh! In terms of just registering. I think registering is just, it just should not be the way it is. And I get it. Yu-Gi-Oh! Players' handwriting is terrible. And the option before that was that, you know, people hand wrote their deck lists and they submitted them. And that was a nightmare for judges because you had to like, does that say trap that shoot or does that say something else? Does that say bottomless trap hole or bottomless shifting sand? Like, I don't know what the fuck that says because it's just everyone's handwriting. So this is better than handwriting, but it's still, in 2025, it's still not good enough.
I feel like okay, ready? Here's a solution. The easiest low-tech solution possible right now. You guys ready? It's crazy. How about you just like have you just say, email us a Word document. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's not that difficult. There could just be an official email. You just email the fucking thing. Or you have like whatever formatted paper, and then it just like, you know, you edit the PDF or whatever and you email it in. Like I don't know.
There's much better solutions than the way it is set up right now.
What I said is stupid, but I feel like it's so much easier. You just type and then send.
Not only that, but again, a better solution is already in place at Konami, just not Konami US. Like, there's really no excuse because we see better. It's not like we're saying do all of these technical things and do all these things that require someone's salary to incorporate or whatever to integrate. It's like, no, this literally exists across the pond. Like, what are we talking about, you know? So anyway, my deck list was submitted the morning of, exactly. My deck list was submitted at 9 a.m. Drew is in front of me now. We're both seated at a table. I'm like, Eric hasn't responded, so I don't even know if he's showing up, and we just won't have a third person. Like, we won't be able to play, basically. I'm
going to say this now without knowing the rest of the story. I don't know how this ends, but if it goes the direction I think it's going, Eric has given me my money. Anyway, continue. Eric has given me my fucking money. This is crazy.
Oh, God. All right, so Eric is still not there. He still hasn't responded. He still hasn't responded. So Drew is writing out his deck list, and it is now like 9:52, and he's still hammering away, editing the deck list, doing all the things. And I'm watching him do it. He's doing it really fucking fast, as fast as he can. But this website is so not intuitive that it still takes him so long to add, because there's a Veiler in the main deck and there's a Veiler in the side deck. And he's realizing now, because he hasn't played competitive Yu-Gi-Oh! In terms of like using this website in a while. So he's realizing now how bad this whole thing is. He's like,
what the fuck?
Yeah, he's like, why do I have to do all of this to get like Veiler in my side and Veiler in my main? Like, it's just not good. Anyway, by 9:55, he is completely done. He is so done that he has now spread the deck out and gone over how many monsters, spells, traps are in the main deck, because it actually shows you like monsters 23, spells 11, traps 6. So 17, 23, 40, right? So he's checked it. Then I grabbed the deck. I do 5, 10, 15. I do a very basic 5, 10, 15, 20, all the way to 40 to make sure it's at least 40 cards. His deck list says 40. I'm looking at it on the screen. He clicks submit. Now, you can still resubmit your deck list before 10 a.m. as many times as you want. That didn't used to be a thing until the second half of last year. It used to be once you submitted your deck list, it was just submit it forever and you could never change it. And that was annoying for obvious reasons. But now you can submit it as much as you want up to 10 a.m. So like, it's 9:55. He submitted it. We're Gucci. It has the confirmation thing. It says your deck list is submitted. I look at mine just because I look at mine and I see it submitted. Around 10, maybe at the end of 9 o'clock, around the same time, Eric texts the group chat and he's like, "Oh, I overslept. I'm on my way." Which again, this isn't a problem because he doesn't actually have any reason to be at the convention center with us so early. Like him being there.
What time is this?
Let me check the group chat. Hold on. Let me tell you exactly what time he finally responds.
Wait, was it after 10? Because if it's after 10, then it is a problem.
Well, no, because you submit the deck list electronically. So like he could.
Well, okay, sure.
Hold on. Let's see.
Sure.
I'm gonna play because I don't want to get the times wrong. Okay. I said I registered. Blah blah blah. Oh, here's another thing that happened. So at 8:39 p.m. that Friday, he texts the group chat. He says our tournament starts at 3, and I said it says 11 a.m. And he says, what the fuck? Then why is there a 1 p.m. deadline to submit your deck list? It's confusing. And I says, it says 1 p.m. Eastern time, which is 10 a.m. where we are.
Oh my God, how's this happening again?
Right. But hold on. I do blame Konami for this I think
Yeah.
that the fact that it says Eastern time for everything is so dumb when we're in Vegas.
it is stupid.
And when
It
we were
is
in
dumb,
Texas,
yeah.
it still said Eastern time instead of saying Texas time. I do think that this is dumb. And so I wasn't mad at him that he also had a similar experience to me back in Texas,
True.
where like he did not realize, because why would it say a time zone that you are actively not in? You know what also is confusing about this? And I'm going to go on a little rant here. Konami is not even fucking stationed in the East Coast. Konami headquarters in the US is in California. Why? I cannot for the life of me understand why it is everything is in Eastern time. That genuinely doesn't make sense to me.
My only guess is that because the parent company is Japanese, and as far as I know, Japanese companies, video games, whenever they do stuff pertaining to the US, it's always Eastern time. That's just like, I guess, the agreed time that the Japanese use
for
the US. But it doesn't make any sense to be like, this tournament is being hosted in China and it starts at 1 p.m. United States Eastern time. Like, what?
It does not make any sense. There is nothing that can change my mind about that. That is just poor design. That the website has every deadline is in Eastern time, no matter where you are in the world. I think that is silly. Again, no excuse in 2025 for these things. So I said, it says 1 p.m. Eastern time, which is 10 a.m. where we are in Vegas. He says, gotcha, I'm lacking in reading comprehension. Then he says, how many teams do you expect? And I said, it's okay. In your defense, Yu-Gi-Oh players don't read. And also, the website should just list things in the same time zone as the event. That's what I said back. Right? So I'm kind of making a little joke. Everyone knows the whole Yu-Gi-Oh players don't read thing. None of us read. If you've ever been a Yu-Gi-Oh player, you also don't read in your real life outside of Yu-Gi-Oh too. Like if you ever play Yu-Gi-Oh, you stopped reading the day you picked up a card. Okay? Yep. You've never read since then, and you never will read again. That's just how it works. So this is now, I guess it's showing me everything in my current time. So actually, I'm realizing that these messages that I'm looking at, you have to do a 3-hour conversion. But okay, March 15th at 6:44 a.m., which would have been 3:44 a.m. Vegas time. Now this goes back to remember I said I woke up to a 4 a.m. message. He says just need one trap dust shoot and one tribe. So that was at 3:44 a.m. Vegas time.
Crazy.
I text back at 7:14 a.m. and I say, I think Drew has a tribe for you. I then at 11:47 a.m., which is actually, what time is that? That's 8:47 a.m. I say, I'm headed to the venue. So at 8:47, I'm headed to the venue, and my hotel and the venue are literally like 10 minutes apart.
Yeah.
So I get there 10 a.m., whatever. I'm already like waiting for my Uber. I'm probably in my Uber when I said this. I'm headed to the venue because again, I want to be there early. And then I message at 9:11 p.m. or I'm sorry, 9:11 a.m. because this is showing me 12:11 p.m. my time. So so Vegas time is 9:11 a.m. Right?
Yep.
I say, Eric, where you at? Which means that I'm standing in the venue now, and he's not there. So I'm there. It's 9:11. I've talked to I got the deck from Josh. I got the Tengu deck, and I'm looking around. I don't see him. So then I text the group chat. I'm like, communication, just text the group chat. Right? He could be here. You just don't see him. So I go, where you at? He doesn't message back until 9:24. It says, about to head out. I overslept.
Okay.
And I go, LOL. Okay. I mean, the event doesn't start until 11 a.m. As long as you submitted your deck, you're good. So that's at 9:25. Now it is an hour later. So now it is 10:23 a.m. This is really annoying because I'm converting these times as I'm reading them.
Yeah.
I'm converting these times manually. So it's an hour later. So it is now 10:23 a.m. He's still not here, right? Which is like now definitely concerning because it's like, okay, the tournament starts in roughly 30 to 40 minutes. And he's still not here. And an hour ago, he said, I overslept, but I'm on my way or whatever. So then he texts back immediately. So this is 10:23 a.m. He says, 5 minutes away. Where y'all going to be at? And I said, near the vendors. This is all happening at 10:23. And then finally, so I think that was like, yeah, that was pretty much the last thing that was said. Then he's like, said something about, I'm with Zelaya right now. I think that's when the event started because it looks like that's an hour later, which would have definitely been when the tournament started. So, okay, basically, at 10:30-ish, around 10:23, he said he was 5 minutes away. So he eventually does get there before the tournament starts. We're like, okay, we're all here now, which is great. We're all here. The team is here.
Beautiful.
Everyone is good. We registered yesterday.
Yeah.
Drew submitted his deck list in front of me at 9:55.
So there was actually no drama. Everyone's there. It all worked out.
Oh, but just you wait.
What do you mean?
So
what could go wrong?
The three of us are together, and I go, all right, Eric, you submitted your deck list. He was like, yeah, I submitted it. I was like, did you get it in before the deadline? Like, did you get it in before 10 a.m.? And he was like, I submitted it at 10:02. And I stop and look at him, and Drew looks at him, and we go, what? What did you say? And he's like, I submitted it at 10:02. And I was like, why? Why did you submit it at 10:02? It was due by 10. I said that in the group chat multiple times. Like I said that your deck list has to be submitted by 10 a.m. We even had a whole discussion about time zones. And I clarified that despite that the website says like 1 p.m. or whatever, and despite that the event starts at 3 p.m. on the website, all of that, just like fix it to be Eastern time in your head. It does not, these are the times. You need to submit it by 10 a.m. I clarified that, and I have fucking messages and screenshots and everything to prove it, right? Like that shit's still in my phone. It's still in his phone too. It's still in everyone's phone. 10 a.m. was the deadline. That was the deadline. I don't care what you're seeing on the thing. So I'm like, why did you submit it at 10:02? He's like, oh, I'm not used to like submitting a deck list or whatever on this website or whatnot. And I was like, okay, but one, you had your deck since inception. Like you came to Vegas with your deck. The only thing you were missing was a tribe and a trap dashu. But like, even if that's the case, you would still submit your deck list with those cards on it and just assume that you're going to get those cards in the morning. So that's not a thing, right? And so he by the way, he also got the 2 cards. So he had the 2 cards. Drew gave him a trap dashu, or no, Drew gave him a tribe, and I think he went and purchased a $4 trap dashu or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, trap dashu is played in fucking 17 formats. Like somebody has a trap dashu they can loan you.
Yeah, so he has those things. Okay, so I am standing there and kind of shocked that he so nonchalantly is just like, oh yeah, I submitted it at 10:02. So I was like, well, when you submit your deck list late, like it usually doesn't go through or whatever because you didn't submit it on time. He's like, no, it took it. It accepted it. I was like, oh, really? He's like, yeah, it accepted it. I was like, oh, well, okay, I guess we're good then. Like, if it accepted your deck list, he's like, yeah, no, it took the deck list. Like, I was like, did it give you any message or anything like that? Did it say that your deck list submission was tardy? Did it say like anything about you not submitting it on time when you submitted it at 10:02 as opposed to literally before 10 a.m.? And he's like, no. So I was like, okay, we're good. So now the event is about to start in like 20-ish minutes. The event ends up starting like 10 minutes late. So instead of starting at 11 a.m., the event starts at like 11:10 a.m.
Mm-hmm.
Pairings go up.
All we're not on there.
How do you know, Kenny? How do you fucking know that? We go up to the pairings and we're looking. None of our names are on the pairings. I start giggling. I start giggling immediately. Like I literally, I'm standing next to Drew and I just start giggling. I just start chuckling. I'm like, I was like, this can't be real. So then I found Eric, and because the names are different. So my last name is Smith. Drew's last name is Carter. And so where we are is slightly different from each other, whatever. But after I realized that I'm not on there, me and Drew are standing there and like, we all go up to the Konami booth. Now people are being seated, right? Everyone's being seated for their round. We're walking towards the Konami booth, which is far away from where the play area is. We finally get there. We talk to people and they're like, oh, go see this person about this. Hey, we're not on the pairings for Ultimate Time Wizard. And Drew literally looks at me. He goes, I know exactly where this is going. And I was like, I said, oh, I do too. And like I say, I am in full.
I'm just having fun right now. I'm just going through the motions.
So Eric's standing there. He's quiet next to us. And I am just smiling. And I'm like, hey, we're not on the pairings for Ultimate Time Wizard that just started for round 1. And she's like, oh, did you sign up on time? I was like, yes. She's like, are you sure you did everything? I was like, yeah, no, we 100% register on time. All of that. Like my car got charged. Drew's like, I got charged $25. Yeah. Drew was very clearly more annoyed about this whole situation than I am. And I'll explain why. He explains why to me later, like how he felt about the whole situation. But in the moment, I could feel his energy and I could feel how short he's being about every, like now he's very clearly pissed. To be frank, he's pissed. So the lady's asking us if we registered on time and all that stuff. And he's annoyed. So he's just like very short. He's like, I got charged $25. I registered on time. That is not a question. And I'm like, I also registered on time. I also have to charge. And Eric is like, yeah, I registered on time or whatever like that. So then she's like, okay, I'm looking you guys up. I don't really see anything. And she's like, did you submit your deck list on time? And I was like, yep, I submitted my deck list on time. I have the screenshot. I'm on the website right now. And Drew's like, I also did that right. And here's where it's Eric's time to shine. So he's like, I did submit my deck list, but I submitted it at 10:02. And she's like, oh, well, that's your problem. You submitted your deck list late. And I was like, I look over at him and I'm like, I told you it did not take your deck list. He's like, no, it took it though. Now he's saying this to the lady. Now he's saying this to the fucking Konami rep.
No, it took it. It took it, lady. It took it.
He's like, it took it. Like, it accepted the deck list. And she was like, no, it didn't. Because like I'm looking in the system right now, and
it's not an accident that you submitted at 10:02 and you guys aren't on the pairing list, by the way.
Right? Because by the way, there is no other team next to us.
Yep.
Every other team.
This isn't like a technical issue. You know what I mean? This isn't like, and it, like, there's been a couple YCS events that we've covered on this podcast where there's a couple people that have issues. I know our boy Cameron Saunders was involved in like multiple people having issues at like some Konami events and some judges and this and that.
Yep.
This isn't that situation.
No.
There's just one team standing up there.
There's one team, and it's my team. We are the only team that is standing at the Konami booth. Every other team is standing at the Konami booth. Or I'm sorry, every other team is seated playing their round one opponent. We're the only team standing at the Konami booth. So I look around because no one else is having this problem, which means that it 100% is not like some widespread thing. Like this is not an issue that anyone else has had. So she's like, yeah, well, you submitted your deck list late, and that's why you aren't in the tournament, because you submitted your deck list late. And so then me and Drew, we're kind of, well, mostly me, but I'm kind of having fun with the situation because I had already said to both of them at the first sign that anything goes wrong, I'm leaving. I didn't really want to play. I didn't really want to be here. And that is evident by the fact that I didn't even try to construct a team before I got here to Vegas. I didn't even try, bro. I didn't even try. So I was like, at the first sign of trouble, and I told them this on Friday. I said, the first sign of trouble, I'm out. Like I'm going to a spa. My hotel has a fucking beach connected to it, like a man-made beach. I swear to God, like it literally has a man-made beach. The Four Seasons is connected to another hotel called Mandalay Bay, and there is a man-made beach as a part of that resort that we have access to. I was like, if anything goes wrong on Saturday, I'm leaving and I'm going to the beach. For people who saw my Instagram stories on Saturday, you saw that I was at said beach. So rewind back to being in front of the Konami booth. So the lady and Eric are talking, and he's like, oh, I submitted it, blah, blah, blah. And she's like, all right, she's like, show me on your phone, where it's accepted it. Cause like, you won't be able to pull up that you submitted your deck list on time on the website. So me and Drew have it on our phone, and it says deck list submitted. And then there's a little thing that says download under it, where you could download your deck list. Right. So him, they're talking, and Drew is saying to me, like, so he blatantly did not submit his deck list on time, which is the reason why we're not even on the pairings. But on top of that, him saying it accepted it, which is just false. That did not happen. I can tell you that didn't happen because even when I submitted my deck list late at Nationals last year, it said deck list submission tardy. And I saw it said that in yellow at the top of the screen. It said that shit so clearly to me that like it was impossible to miss that when I clicked the button. Okay, when I clicked the button and it said that message, I was like, oh shit, deck list submission tardy. And I got duped by the whole, if you remember, if people don't know, at Nationals for me, what happened is that I didn't realize the website was in Eastern time, but we're in Texas, which is 1 hour. Texas is 1 hour time difference from Philadelphia. So I was like, oh, okay, no big deal. This says that I have to submit my deck list by 11 a.m. or I guess it would have said 11 a.m., which I thought was like, So I submitted it late, not realizing that I didn't know that the 10 a.m. had Eastern time next to it. And because in Texas is an hour behind Philadelphia. So like if it's 10 a.m. in Philly, it's actually 9 a.m. in Texas. So I was thinking that when it was 9 a.m. in Texas, I still had an hour to submit my deck list. So I submitted my deck list at 9:01.
And it was like tardy.
And it said tardy because 9:01 is actually 10 Eastern time, which is like, again, I know this is super confusing, all this time zone talk, but please try to bear with us. So that happened to me last year. And I kind of like put that whole thing out of my mind because, bad experience or whatever, not really the best thing. But when he's saying that I submitted it, and I did ask him, right? I asked him when he first said this, when we were standing next to the vendors, I said, like, did it tell you that it was tardy? Did it tell you that your deck list submission was tardy or anything about it being late? Did it say anything about that? He confirmed that it did not. He said it accepted it. And he just straight up said it did not say anything about that. So when him and the lady are talking, and she's like, okay, well, because you submitted your deck list late, you're going to get a round one loss. And then Drew's like, is it just him or is it the whole team gets a round one loss? And she's like, well, you guys are treated as one unit, as an entity. So the whole team gets a round one loss. So I start laughing again because I just find this entire situation to be hilarious. Like Drew is pissed. I am in complete Jubilee mode still. Because I just think that this thing is preposterous. I think the entire sequence of events.
You're damn right it is.
Is preposterous. So they're like, we could put you in for round 2 or whatever. Or we're going to put you in for round 2 is what she says. Like they're going to enter us in round 2. And so the whole team gets a round 1 loss. So we're starting off 0-1. And so I walk over to the back to the player area and I stand by some of the people and they're like, look, see, I'm talking to Simo. I see like Oscar's playing against Rick and Matt Kalinda's team. And I'm like talking, I think I see Pudding at some point. I see a couple people. I see people I know. And they're like, oh, like, are you playing? Are you not playing or something? And I'm like, yes and no. And they're like, huh? And I'm like, I was like, I'll tell you guys all what happened later. Don't worry about it. Like, just focus on your game. Multiple people are confused. They're like, how come you're not seated playing your opponent? Multiple people thought we had a bye. They're like, oh, you guys got a bye? And I was like, kinda.
Similar.
I'm just like laughing it up. Drew is standing next to me and he is fuming. He's fuming. So I was like, okay, well, it's only 6 rounds, which is like honestly super free. Like a 6-round tournament, because to be clear, this event is half of the players that was there last year. There's only 50 teams in this tournament. Last year there was 100 teams. So there's only 50 teams. This event is super small. It's only 6 rounds. I've never played in a YCS that like any YCS, even Ultimate Time Wizard that was 6 rounds. So this is the smallest Ultimate Time Wizard event. Most of the events that we play nowadays are 9 rounds because if they're like 300 people, then they're 9 rounds. Like Anaheim and Orlando, I think they were both 9 rounds. Yeah, they were. They were both 9 rounds. So I'm used to the tournaments being 9 rounds at this point. This is 3 rounds shorter than most of the average Ultimate Time Wizard. So this is like, in my head, as a Yu-Gi-Oh player, as a competitive player, as a person who's been playing Yu-Gi-Oh for decades now, this is like what I would consider to be a pretty free event. And I was like, you know what? We lost round 1, but we could still just easily go 5-0 from here. Also because we're in the losers bracket, everyone we play against will have lost. They will have actually lost. Like they will have played and have lost. Well, after the round concludes, round 2 goes up. We go up to the fucking pairings and our name is still not on the pairings. So now Drew he's like, oh my God, he's over it. So we're walking up to the Konami booth again, the whole team. We're like, hey, we're still not on the pairings. And they're like, oh, you're not? And it's like, yeah, we came up round 1 and they were like, what's your team name? And we were like, late registration. And they're like, oh, well, that's why you're not in it because you guys registered late. I'm like, no.
Yeah. Hold on one sec. Hold that thought. I'm sorry. Excited for this part. As soon as I heard the team was called late registration, I knew somehow this was all the stars were going to align.
Yep.
So I'm excited to hear what happens here.
When I tell you these stories write themselves. So the Konami people are looking in their laptops. They're trying to figure out what's going on. They're like, so at first they go, like, you know, it's because your team registered late. And we're like, no. We registered on time. Like that, the registration part, the part where you create your team name, you pay $25, that 100% was not late. That's our team name. And they start laughing. They're like, oh, your name, the team. I was like, yes, our team name is called late registration. So after we get done that confusion, and I find this to be funny, I think that this is, I'm the one who named the team. I thought this was hilarious. Not that I thought that we would actually end up being technically like a late registration, but just because I thought that they made sense at the time. And then it makes even more sense after all this is said and done. But they're like, okay, I noticed that another team comes up, a team that I know, Dirk Wagner's team walks up and they're like, hey, we are in that we lost round 1, but we won round 1. And then another team comes up and they're like, we also have an issue. And so now I'm realizing, oh, okay, whatever's happening right now is actually a Konami thing. Like they fucked up.
So round 1, it was y'all. Well, not
100%.
y'all, but it was a person in y'all.
Yep.
But
yes.
Round 2, there's a bigger issue.
Yes. So Drew is very mad, and he is, at the time, he's placing blame on what happened with Eric, the GOAT player, and stuff like that when this is happening. I said, no. This is not his fault. I put this on Konami. Like, this is 100%. This has nothing to do with him. He fucked up with the 1002 submission for sure. That part, but I was like, we're not going to say that he did anything wrong for round 2. They said they were going to put us in. They did not do their jobs. Just point blank. Like, they just did not do what they were supposed to do. They told us when we walked away, we're going to put you in for round 2, you know, blah, blah, blah. You have a round 1 loss. They gave us that whole thing. They just didn't do it. And also I said, clearly, as more teams are coming up, they messed up this entire round. So it ends up being such a disaster. They have to do a repair, which, like, that's always a bad thing, but they end up having to repair the entire round. So everybody has to get up now. So then round 2 officially goes up again. And now we're on the pairings. Now we have an opponent. Well, my round 1 opponent, or I should say my round 2 opponent, my first opponent is 10-Foot. For people who don't know, 10-Foot is one of the better players in the Edison format. He used to be a Value Turbo player. He now plays Hero Frogs. He's been playing Hero Frogs since me and him played. When he was playing Value, I was playing Hero Frogs in Moreno Valley, RBET, in 2023. That was the last time he was like, I'm done with Value. Like, he played Hero Frogs ever since then. So he's been playing it for years now. And me and him have a history of playing each other. I want to say this time, so clearly his team lost round 1. I want to say this time that this is probably our 7th or 8th time playing each other in tournaments. Over the course of the last 2 to 3 years, this has to be the 7th or 8th time me and him have played each other in tournaments. We play each other a lot, which is, it didn't occur to me until like when he sat in front of me, I was like, really, again? And he is like, he's laughing. He's, 10-foot is himself. He's awkward. He's funny. I love the guy. I think he's a really, really cool person to talk to and be around. I didn't know who I was playing. I didn't look at who was across from me or whatever on the pairings. In fact, I'll be honest, I didn't even look at the pairings. I let Drew and Eric look at the pairings, and then I followed them to our table because we all sit next to each other anyway. I didn't have to look at my pairing. So I was like, the smart thing to do is let anyone else see it. Whoever sees it first, and just follow that person to the table and just pray to God that they're not an idiot and they can at least find the fucking table number. So I follow them. We all sit down. There's this weird thing happening where people aren't sure who should be sitting in what seat. So I'm like, well, I'm player B, so I should be in the middle, I think, because I'm the Edison player, and I'm assuming the Edison player is always in the middle. And then there's some confusion about like, well, no, last round, in round 1, Eric is saying, our Go player is saying that like in round 1, the Edison player was sitting on the outside or something like that. And I'm like, I don't think that's right, because I was watching other teams play, and I swear that the Go player and the Tengu player were on the outskirts and the Edison player was in the middle. But I was like, honestly, it doesn't really matter that much. And then somebody says, well, it kind of does matter because the A player is not allowed to talk to the C player because they would be talking over the person in the middle. And then someone else said, that's not true anymore. That used to be a rule, but they changed it. All players can talk to each other. You don't have to. So now there's all this confusion about if we're sitting in the right spot. So then when 10-foot shows up, because his team is already there, but he's not there yet. When 10-foot finally shows up, I'm like, oh shit, I'm playing you. And I was like, well, we don't know where we're supposed to sit. And then Drew is like, because Drew's sitting in the middle at this time. And he's like, do you want to just switch seats with me? Like, he's like, I don't care. And he's like, I also feel like you should be in the middle. And I said, honestly, Drew, I don't care. If this is what the thing is telling us, that we have to sit in this order or whatever, or even if it's fucked up, as long as I'm playing their Edison player who's in front of me, I was like, 10-foot, are you the Edison player? He's like, yes. I was like, as long as I'm playing him, I don't care. I also don't care because the GOAT player, I feel like this is how I feel. No one should be having to talk to the GOAT player anyway. GOAT players are playing the oldest retro format. I also feel like if you're volunteering to play GOAT specifically, you know how to play the format, or you at least should know how to play the format, because it's the oldest format, and it's such a, to me, boring format that if you are playing it, you want to. So like in my head, and even last year with AJT, I was like, me and Raikoko will be seated next to each other, obviously, Edison and Tengu, and we can help each other, we can help each other. We can coach each other or whatever. AJT will be doing his own thing, not only because he's a great player in GOATs, but also because the GOAT player should not need help from anyone anyway. That's just how I feel. That's how I feel. I feel like the GOAT player shouldn't be interacting with us too much anyway. Also, their games take forever. So let them play. They need all the time they can get. They don't need to be distracted. Let them play. So I was like, Drew, I don't need to sit in the middle, because I'm never going to talk to the GOAT player anyway, because I don't know how to play GOATs. Like, yes, I know how to play GOATs technically from a fundamental Yu-Gi-Oh standpoint, but like, I don't actively play fucking. The last time I played GOATs was probably like 10 years ago. So I was like, I don't play GOATs. I don't have anything to offer. So I was like, I don't really care where we're seated. I just want to play. I just want to play. I want to play my round 1. So I'm playing 10-foot for like the 7th or 8th time. I win the die roll, and I don't know what he's playing, but I can assume that he's playing some kind of frog deck, and I'm playing Frog OTK. I 2-0 10-foot in no time. Games 1 and game 2, there was very little resistance. Like game 1, he summoned a Caius and he died. Game 2, he summoned a Caius. No, he summoned a Absolute Zero and a Fossil Dyna, which I hadn't seen that before. But he summoned an Absolute Zero and a Fossil Dyna, and then he died. There was nothing eventful about it. It was a 2-0 and a handshake, and our match was so non-eventful that as he was taking his turns, I would like look over at my teammates playing, because I was way more interested in their games anyway. And what I could see,
you're just doing OTK shit.
Yes. And honestly, at this point, my brain is on autopilot when it comes to Edison. Like, I've played so much Edison that like I can do this shit in my sleep. So it doesn't really take much for me to play, especially a deck that I know. Like, it's not like I'm playing Gigavice and I really don't know the lines. Like, I know the lines for the frog decks. So I'm just chilling. Like, 10-foot's taking his time, trying not to die, and I'm trying to murder him, and I'm watching my teammates. So I see that Drew is playing, he's playing single planes. He's playing versus a TG stun deck. His opponent has like skill drain and shit. And I see the GOAT player, Eric, is playing against some guy, and he is getting fucking waxed. He is getting waxed poetic. I noticed in game 1, before I OTK'd 10-foot, I remember looking over and seeing his opponent had +5 on him. And in GOAT format, that is essentially game. Like, it's really, really hard to come back from something like that. His opponent had to be clear what I saw, I remember the field. His opponent had like double spy, a chaos sorcerer in defense mode, and another guy, and a hand. Our GOAT player has 2 cards in hand and a 1 monster on the field. That's all he has. And so this is game 1. So I was like, okay, maybe his opponent opened like because I don't know how it started. I had to pay attention to my match. I don't know how that game started. I don't know if his opponent won the die roll, opened up pot, graceful, and duo, right? Because that could happen. I don't know if they opened pot, graceful, and duo. I have no idea how their opponent, how his opponent actually started the game or whatnot. I don't know how they got there. But I just saw the situation. I was like, oh, well, that game's over. Like, unless his opponent's at really low life points, he has Ring of Destruction, that game is over. Because you can still, you can steal a game. They can have all the cards they want. You can steal the game. And I have to get out of my head when I'm looking over because I'm thinking to myself, God damn it. Like, not us getting a round 1 loss, but also watching our GOAT player get absolutely scraped. So I go back into like just smiling, and 10-foot, again, he's pondering his hand, he's doing his plays. But I end up winning, right? I end up winning my match, no big deal. Eric gets 2-0'd. He gets 2-0'd. He does not win a game, and neither game was close because I checked over again in the second game, and there was nothing special about it. His opponent was just destroying him again. So now it's on Drew. Drew lost game 1 to TGs. He got skill drained, never drew an out to it. He also opened up double Tengu, which I did see that, happen. Whatever. He opened up double Tengu, lost game 1. So him and his opponent are in game 2, I realize. And I'm watching it because I have nothing else to do. And so this entire round just comes down to Drew's set right here. Like this Tengu set that's happening right here, everything comes down to it. Long story short, Drew gets destroyed. He gets 2-0'd as well. So I tell 10-foot, and I told 10-foot when, I kind of said it when our game was still ongoing. Actually, I said it when he was packing up. So after I won, I was like, I don't think our match is going to matter because I already saw how bad the GOAT player lost, and I also saw Drew lost in game 1 as well. So I was like, I don't think our game is going to matter. But for what it's worth, I did win, right? That's what I'm like, for what it's worth, I won. And if one of them can just win, they're both still playing. At the time when I won, they were both still playing. I was like, if one of them can just win, we'll win this round. I'm the first one done. And me and 10-foot are just talking. We're talking about what happened in the game, which is not much, but we're talking about Fossil Dine in particular because I hadn't seen Fossil Dine aside it in Hero Frogs. And I said, do you still have Vanity's Fiend? And we're just talking. He's like, do I? And he pulls out his side deck. He shows me a side deck. And he has multiple Vanity's Fiends, multiple Fossil Diners in his side deck or whatever. And we're talking about it. And I was like, yeah, blah, blah, blah. Fossil Diner, that does seem pretty cool. I can see how that would work in Hero Frogs. Like, Hero Frogs is more of now that Frogs are like the most dominant deck in the format officially, right? Like, because they even won this event too. They won this Vegas event as well. They were part of the 3v3 team. The exact Frog deck I was playing.
Remember, Frogs aren't good.
Yeah, idiots, right? But Frogs are officially like the most dominant deck in the format. And honestly, this year in 2025, it's not close. They've won most of the tournaments. I think the only tournament that Frogs has not won so far is one tournament was won by Vayu. That was Orlando by Eric. Every other tournament, I'm pretty sure that Frog OTK has won. And that's not even exaggeration. That's not hyperbole. Alistair, who we've had on the channel twice now from Europe, from the UK, he won the Ultimate Time Wizard in Europe. The EWCQ was won by Pina Diego and Frog OTK. The YCS Vegas was won by the Frog OTK player on the winning team. I'm not sure of his name. I've never seen that guy before, but he was playing Frog OTK on the winning team. And then also there was that big retro format Italia tournament at the very beginning of the year that it was an Italian tournament and a Frog OTK player won, and he was doing a non-conversion side deck. If people remember that tournament was also like 200 players. They won that event. And last but not least, if you want to count this one, because this one was 100 players, and I kind of consider tournaments that are 100 players usually to be like, that's a major for Edison. Retro Games, that tournament that I streamed earlier in the year, that tournament also had 100 players, and that tournament was won by Frog OTK. So if you do the math, Frog OTK has won every single Edison tournament except one so far this year. And so I'm chilling. I'm talking to 10-foot. I'm watching Drew's game. So now that I'm free, Drew asked me a question because his opponent has max seed him. And when he's about to go in, right, he has like a Spore on the field with 4 GOAT tokens. And he's like, do you think I should go in? And I was like, honestly, because of the situation that you're in where like, I feel like your hand is not very strong right here and all you have is this play, you might want to. But I said, if you do not feel comfortable going into the Max C here, I understand, because I don't often take the Max C challenge or whatever. Like, I kind of give a little explanation of like how I feel, but I tell him the ending point is that you've been playing this whole game. I just started watching your full game now. You have a better read on the situation. You have a better read on his deck list, because I don't know the TG list either. Like, if he was playing agents or something like that, I would have a better explanation of what I think you should do, because I'm used to playing against Tango and agents more, right? I have more experience against those decks. I know what their deck lists usually look like. Against TGs, though, that deck wasn't really real in 2011. And to be honest, I'm going to be completely honest here, I don't think it's real now either. Like, I don't think it's a bad deck, but if I'm trying to win the tournament, I don't think that TGs is a deck to win the tournament. And to be clear, Tengu Plants was also on the winning team for this event, and last year was on the winning team as well. So Tengu Plants, the deck, has won both of the two major Tengu events that have happened in
It's
Yu-Gi-Oh!
almost like the format's called Tengu Plant.
It's almost like it's called Tengu Plants. It's won both of the fucking tour. Like, I don't know what delusions people have about Tengu format, but like, so far, the only two majors that have happened for Tengu since 2011 have been won by actual Tengu Plants the deck. So anyway, I tell Drew, you know best here. I trust you. I recruited you on my team, not just because of convenience or whatever, but because I genuinely do trust you, and whatever decision you make, I'm okay with. I was like, but do not feel like super pressured or anything like that, right? Like, I don't want you to feel like the weight is on your shoulders, because now everyone's watching this match. Like, both our teams are officially just watching this one match. So he ends up making a decision, and they end up in a really good spot. Like, Drew ends up in a really good spot against the TG deck. The TG deck has no monsters, and it just has like a back row, and Drew has 3 cards. So he's winning in terms of that, but I look at the life points, and he's like down in life. He's at 3,100. His opponent rips a King Tiger Wang Hu, and he attacks, and I think Drew depresses it, and they go back and forth in his top deck war, essentially. But then the guy ends up top decking out of it, and it was a series of very like specific and perfect top decks to seal the game 2 against Drew. But even still, I was like, I didn't see this full game, so I don't know where things like went wrong. I don't know what exactly happened. I'm not placing blame on anyone. I also just do not care, do not feel bad. I was like, I'm just going to go to the beach. Like, I'm going to the beach. I'm dropping us. Obviously, we're now 0-2 technically, right? Like, we lost round 1 because of the late registration.
Yeah, and you're not making 0-2 6 rounds. You're done. Yeah,
you're super done. No X2s made it, by the way. Like, I found out after, no X2s made it.
There's also like 10 ties, right?
There were multiple ties. I can't speak to how many there were exactly, but there were multiple ties in the top cut. So, yeah.
It's a little sus.
Yeah, that's what's happening. I have no stakes in any of that tournament at that point. I was like, I washed my hands with it. I was done. I left Drew and Eric where they were. I said, I did say to both of them, like, thank you guys for playing. Obviously no hard feelings. I am going to, I'm going to talk about this, obviously, because that's what I do. Like, I'm a content creator. I do a podcast. I'm also just telling the facts. This is honestly the same thing I did last year. I'm going to tell the story because it's a part of my fucking experience. 2 times in a row, Vegas, from round 1. Like, I have not had a successful round 1 in Vegas yet, which is fucking crazy to me that both times I've gone there, it's been crazy round 1.
What did Eric say when, like, what was his defense when the lady was like, yeah, so, like, your deck list was late, it didn't get accepted? Like, what eventually, like, because he had to show her, she was like, show me your phone. Like, what happened?
He couldn't actually argue with her at all. Right? Yeah. Like,
did he ever admit that it said deck list tardy? Like,
no.
Or did he just, like, the whole time, he just go, like, no, I'm telling you guys, like.
No, at no point did he ever say that, like, oh, it did give me a message or notification, because I'm sure it does, because I've experienced it before.
So, like, did he give you and Drew your money?
No, I wouldn't even. It was $25, and honestly, I would never even ask for that back, because while it is annoying that I was very clear in our group chat, and I still have those messages of me saying, you need to have your deck list submitted by 10 a.m. That is, and like, he responded in a way that confirmed that he understood that part at least. Also, again, unlike Drew, here's what makes me like so surprised by this whole thing. Not even mad. Drew got there at 9:40 and submitted his deck list by 9:55, and he didn't even have his deck list physically available until he got to the event on Saturday morning. Yep. And he still was able to get it in before the deadline, which I thought was not only that, but what he said about, I put in as many cards as I could think of in a Tengu deck that I just assumed would be in a Tengu deck. And I was like, that is actually such good initiative. That showed me that he cared. That showed me that he was actually trying, right? Like, that made me very happy.
He came ready to play.
And I felt so bad because the only person who was really hurt by this entire experience, I don't know how Eric feels really, but Drew, because he's my actual friend, we talked about it post this thing before I like left.
Let me just say before that, I just want to say it's not about the money. it's just about the respect for me.
Yeah.
Like, it's like, bro, you wanted to play in this, we're playing blah blah blah, and it's like you are up at fucking 4 a.m. still trying to look for pieces of your deck when you could have just did that yesterday. You didn't submit your deck list. You had your whole deck list. You know what you're playing. You oversleep. Like, it's
Yeah.
you show up, you lie to my face, you tell me you submitted the fucking deck list. You lie to my face, you lie to the Konami lady. We're here, we get the and like it's just like the respect. It's fucking absurd.
Yeah, I didn't think about it because I Kenny, you know how I can get, and what I kept having to convince myself of is that I can't care about this because because if I do, I'm going to blow up, and that's just then it's going to ruin my trip. And I paid a lot of money to be there, like in Vegas, not for the YCS, but just to be in Vegas and just have a good time. And I was committed. To having a good time. I was like, I am not letting,
you were just having fun.
I was like, I refuse to let anything disturb my peace this weekend, even though I was tried multiple times at this Yu-Gi-Oh event. I was tried multiple times to have my peace disturbed. I was basically gaslit, like the actual word gaslit, not the fucking way people just use that word for everything. I was literally gaslit. Thought to be crazy that like, no, you were told that your deck list was submitted late. Like, if you said 10:02, you submit, like, come on.
Yeah, it's just like, it's so annoying. Like, there's no self accountability for it. It's just like, I have no real for like an event like that with a deadline, like nothing. When there's other people, and there's other people involved. Like, there's no real excuse for me for like for oversleeping. Like, I just don't. Yeah, I just don't really.
When you lay it all out like that, because I've been talking now probably for the better part of an hour, and when you lay out all the things that I said, it's actually crazy, the bullet points that you just laid out like that. And hearing it all replayed to me like that makes me realize how bad it all actually is. Like, it would be really bad if I went there and I was really like hoping to do well in this tournament and to like play my heart out and like me and a team go to the finals of this event. Like, if I really went in there the way I go when I play solo, then I could understand, like, and I would actually be really, really hurt, really annoyed, and all those things. But I mentally, and it's crazy because if you're listening to this, I am not saying that I wasn't trying, because I still won my fucking round that I played. Let's be clear. And also, you
were just like mentally unbothered. You were enjoying your weekend no matter what.
But I still like, my opponent, and in that match where I played, in that match where I played 10-foot, I was there. I was locked in. I knew exactly when he was dead. I knew exactly what to do with my hand. Like, I had like the Froggo TK deck, unless you draw certain kinds of hands. I mean, even then I would argue there's a lot that goes into those lines. If you guys watch Teach Me How to Cook with Alistair twice, we did 2 episodes with him. If you probably see me play at overtime and stuff like that, there's a lot that goes into that deck in terms of executing the plays. You can't not be present to do that deck correctly. And so I still put my best foot forward, because I'm not gonna sit down and be like, I don't care. I'm just gonna do whatever. And my team is, they're relying on me. Like, both of those guys, Drew and Eric, I assume in their minds are like, we have Frazier, we have someone who is competent, who's good, he plays Edison, he knows what he's doing. They don't expect to get like some version of me that is, not locked in and not playing well. So I still managed to win my match without dropping a game.
Like you said, you didn't come here to play. You didn't like have stakes on the tournament. Right. However, if we've come this far, I'm going to try.
If we've come this far,
I registered, I paid my money,
I did everything that everyone else did.
I'm not going to do all of that and then like
throw it at like get into the match and then start throwing. Like, why even go through all of the rigmarole? Why even go through all of that if you're going to sit down and throw the match or like not care about the match, right? So as soon as I started playing, and I kind of was happy that I had 10-foot round 1, because that was like a wake up to me too. Like, oh, you're not just playing some random guy that you don't know that you probably will just run over. You're playing somebody who, if you do not play well, you will probably lose this game.
Yeah.
Right? Somebody that you actually have to read and know what they're doing, because they know what they're doing as well. So that made me like, if I wasn't already awake and my competitive spirit wasn't awake, as soon as I saw that my opponent was actually him, I was like, okay, I'm locked in. And I was going to be locked in no matter who sat in front of me, but having to play somebody who's competent and who I've played multiple times, I'm like, I'm locked in. And so when you lay it all out like that, Kenny, it really, now that it's replayed to me, it's kind of funny that like, damn, you're right. Like, all of those things, like getting there, at a late time, asking for cards at 4 a.m., like not submitting your deck list when you had
4 a.m.
Yeah, because I'm not really sure what that was about, but it's Vegas, so whatever. Do your thing. Like, I'm not trying to police anybody's sleeping habits or what they do in Vegas while they're there. What happens in Vegas stays in Vegas and all that good shit. But like, I do think it is a little concerning to be up at 4 a.m. when you have to play an event in a couple hours or whatever.
Whatever do you, if it's a solo event. But in my opinion, in a team event, you have a responsibility to the other people.
Yeah, I agree.
You have a responsibility to show up, to be present, to like do everything. And then like you should feel like shit if things go wrong because of you. If everybody loses round one,
and maybe
they
he
didn't
does.
get a
Maybe
chance
he
to
does
win.
feel like shit. I have no idea.
Yeah, maybe he does. I don't know. I don't
he
know
didn't
the guy.
express. He never expressed like anything. Honestly, like I have no idea what was going on in his mind or anything like that following this
Like, at
event,
least
during this event.
To bring it back to 1 year ago, right? You know, there was all the drama with AJT, but there one of the levels of credit you can give him, and we talked about this in the video last year, was that after it happened, he did immediately was like, "Hey, I'm sorry." Like,
Oh yeah, he offered. I forgot,
I'll
but
offer you the money
AJT,
back.
he did. He offered to pay me
Like,
back.
you didn't ask him. Like, he was like, "Listen, guys, like I'll give you your money back for the event." Or
he was
whatever
adamant about it too. He asked me so many times that I got annoyed, and I told him, "Please stop offering me $25 or whatever it was last year."
Yeah.
I was like, "Please stop offering," because I think he was trying to pay me extra. He was trying to like pay our entry and then some. I'm pretty sure. Like AJT was like, "I'll pay you guys' entry and I'll throw in a little bit more on top." I think he was like, "I'll give you $50 or something, like double the amount." I forget what it was, but I know for a fact he blatantly offered actual cash money and was asking for my Venmo, Cash App, Zelle, or whatever to pay me, and I declined probably 5 times.
And that's the thing. That this other guy, right? You probably wouldn't have even taken.
I wouldn't have taken it again. I didn't take it last year, and I wouldn't have taken it now.
There's the respect, and at least him being, "Hey, I know this is my fault. Can I pay your entry fee or whatever?" But you know.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right about that. I completely forgot that AJT had that. I mean, he blatantly did, and not only that, AJT won his round 2 on top of. So like, yeah, we lost round 1 because Raikoko and AJT both lost round 1. After the Sinister Serpent situation, we set it in the back row. He gets a game loss. He's done. And then Raikoko just loses to Machina Control. He's playing Black Wings. I do think that matchup is hard for Black Wings. I wasn't mad at Raikoko for losing. It happens. Machina Control is kind of designed to beat Black Wings. He just got paired up against a really bad round. And I'd argue round 1, I also got paired against a really bad round, but my game that needed to get to conclude because we were going to game 3. And then all of the things happened. And, you know, they were like, "Oh, both the other 2 people lost, so your team is actually loses round 1, and you don't have to continue." And me and my opponent just stopped playing pretty immediately. And then round 2, again, AJT won round 2, so it was like, at the very least, he wasn't going to just be a complete shitter and not show up. So go ahead, Kenny.
Well, I think you were about to talk about Drew. Because Drew was somebody that actually had stakes in what was going on, it seems like.
The only part of me that really does feel bad about this entire situation is the way it affected Drew for multiple reasons. One, I asked Drew to play last minute, like on Friday, right? We're at the event. He's walking around. He's just trading and like talking to people, whatever. And I'm like, "Yo, do you want to play in this event with me?" And he's like absolutely. Like, he's like, I've always wanted to play with you. And he was so excited to be able to play with me for the first time because Drew has been a friend of mine for like past 10 years, but 2 years before that, he was just a really big fan of mine. And I don't use that in a derogatory way in any kind of way, but he told me like blatantly that I used to look up to you. Not that he doesn't anymore, but like when I was playing competitively for years and years and years and stuff like that, he was like, and Drew's younger than me. He was like, I looked up to you, seeing someone else who's Black, who's like a top player, and you know, you're sponsored by ARG. You're doing all the things. You're topping events. You know, you have a win, like all of that stuff. He told me when we were much younger than we are now, but he told me like, "I've always been a big fan of yours," and he used to ask me for help and stuff like that. And this is before I really knew him. So it's like this guy at this local that I don't really know who's coming up to me and talking to me, and I'm just kind of like, you know, talking to him or whatever. But we became friends over the time of just being around each other for so long, and then we realized, oh, I actually like you as a person outside of Yu-Gi-Oh! Like me and Drew hang out outside of Yu-Gi-Oh! We have done a lot together in terms of just like outside of Yu-Gi-Oh! Stuff. We've traveled together. We've had all kinds of fun. Like, he's one of the funnest people to be around, and I think he feels the same way about me because when we're together, we laugh to that. We do that Black people laugh where we run around the room and we're falling out of chairs and we're fucking kicking shit over and we can't breathe and I'm going for my inhaler and he's like, he's light skinned, so he turns red. Like, we have those crazy laughs where we're pushing each other and shit. We're fucking shaking each other and laughing. Like, we have the time of our lives. So we are really, really good friends. So when I asked him to be on my team, it was because he's my actual friend. And I was like, last year I made the mistake of being on a team with people who are not, I respect both AJT and Raikoko, but I'm not like friends with them. Like, I don't hang out with these people. I don't know them outside of Yu-Gi-Oh! We don't call each other or text each other. We don't have that kind of relationship. But this time I was like, I'm going to at least, at the very least, especially in a tournament where I just don't actually have stakes, I'm going to play with somebody who I know at the very least I'll have fun with. Like we will have, if nothing else, we will have fun. And as soon as the whole you guys lost round one without even playing thing happened, he got deflated in a way that did affect me just because I didn't like seeing him like that. I felt like
he's your friend.
Brought him into something that disappointed him, like Omega disappointed him, and he expressed his disappointment. He was like, man, I feel so bad because the one time we finally get to play, and this has been like something I've always wanted to do, this happens, and it like, he said, I didn't have control, and that feels bad. He's like, I feel like everything just happened out of my control, and that's what makes it hurt so bad.
Yeah.
And I was like, don't take it too serious. There'll be more opportunities in the future. Like, do not beat yourself up over this. I'm not mad about it. I promise you, I'm not. I'm going to go back to my hotel. I'm going to go to the beach and have a good time. But like, do not sulk on this the whole weekend. Do not feel bad about what happened. Like, I know I can't tell you that your feelings are valid, right? Like, I can't tell you how to feel, but I'm telling you to try not to be in your head about this. Because just try to not let it ruin your entire Vegas experience, because I'm not going to let it ruin mine. And I left, and I never, I went and enjoyed the rest of my days. I went out with Simo's wife, Brittany, and we went to Wing Lei. We had a great time. Did you ever
talk to Eric again?
No. The group chat, funny. There hasn't been a message in the group chat. There hasn't been anything like following that. And I talked to Drew because I did feel bad. I talked to Drew for a good amount of time, probably like a solid half hour after we dropped. Like, I checked the drop slip. I gave the slip to 10 foot. And then, I talked to Drew for a half hour because I knew that I couldn't leave with him in the state that he was in. Yeah. So I did talk to him for a half hour. We talked about everything. He expressed his frustrations. I expressed my frustrations. I was like, this is how I feel. Blah, blah, blah.
These GOAT players, man.
Yo, 2 years in a row.
I don't know what's going on with GOAT.
2 years in a row, the GOAT players have just been, I don't know what is going on.
I don't know what's going on in the GOAT format. Y'all are tripping over there. Y'all got strippers or something.
Is everything okay in the GOAT community?
Something's going on over there.
I do want to know, is everything okay in the GOAT community? Because how did this happen twice in a row? How did something, and again, you guys listening, you can be the judge. What do you think is worse? Last year, my teammate set Citizen Serpent in the back row and gets a game loss for it, or this year my teammate registers late?
I think this one's worse. So I think, okay, it's actually nuanced. On one end, what happened this year is not out of the ordinary. People are late all the time.
Even though we were the only team. We were the only team that had this issue. Remember, no one else was standing at the Konami booth.
Only team with this issue, but
this does
happens all the time. People register their deck late, or they register late, and blah blah blah. It is a thing that happens. Yeah. So it's not abnormal. It happens to someone every tournament. You know what I mean? Yep. It happens to someone. So in that regard, it's not abnormal. Whereas last year, the situation was abnormal.
The situation was crazy last year.
I've never seen that in my life.
Me either.
It's crazy.
Not outside of that format.
On that regard, right? You would say last year was worse. But in the whole respect of people's time and everything, AJT, he, like I said, afterwards he was extremely apologetic, and it's just he actually had respect for his other two teammates' time, and he recognized that whatever it was his fault, and that blah blah blah, and he apologized, and he was, even though nobody took the money, he was like, oh, look, I'll offer the money back, etc. There's just a level of respect that was involved, where in this, I feel like there's a level of disrespect in multiple instances. Because like I said, you can mess these things up in a solo tournament, and it's no big deal. It's just yourself, whatever, do whatever you want. But in a team event, when you're late and you register late and you stay up all night and you don't have the cards and you're not doing anything that you need to do to be prepared to at least show up and get to play round one.
Right.
And if everything goes right, but you mess up, you ruin round one for your whole team. It's there's a level of disrespect there that I think makes that worse, in my opinion. I just think it's really ignorant, rude, whatever fucking word you want to attach to it.
I haven't really looked at it like that, because I wash my hands of the situation, wipe my hands of the situation, whatever they say. I wiped my hands of the situation immediately after I gave my talk to Drew, and me and my other friends who I came with. So the good thing is I came with people who also weren't playing Yu-Gi-Oh, which was nice.
Yeah.
So I was able to just straight up go back, be with them, because I was leaving them to go to this event. They were like, oh, you're going to go do your thing. We're going to be beaching and having fun, drinking, day drinking, the Vegas stuff that you do. I posted stuff on my Instagram story. You guys can see on Saturday, the day of the tournament, that in record time, I was not fucking on a beach, but I was on a beach and drinking.
I don't know. That might have been a slip.
Yeah,
You
well,
might have let us know on a little something, something.
no. Oh,
You might have been
what
fucking
happens?
on the
What
beach.
happens in Vegas does stay in Vegas. Though I did have a lot of fun in Vegas. I'll just leave it at that. But I did have my fun. But yeah, I
There's
mean,
sand in my shorts.
I had a great time. I genuinely this trip was much needed. I thoroughly enjoyed myself. In fact, the last two YCSs, both Orlando and this one, were both really, really fun for me. Because of just the friends that I had who went to both of those events. Like Stephen DeBreo went to Orlando, and me and him also are very silly together. We also just like laugh at each other. We talk about things. We came up with this whole joke, this inside joke called "Buy the Dip," which is so unhinged, but yeah, we have a great time. Well, I'll tell that "Buy the Dip" story on an exclusive Patreon episode because it might be considered a little inappropriate for the main show. Like I'll keep that, on the Patreon episodes, we get way more uncensored, unhinged.
Yeah.
So I'll tell a "Buy the Dip" story, at some point I'll probably do that. But yeah, I had a great time in Vegas, and I don't really hold anything against Eric for everything that happened. I understand that he definitely did fuck up or whatever, but like,
yeah,
bro,
it is what it is.
It is what it is. Like I said, I was over the AJT thing really quickly after it happened. Especially, I feel like once I record and these recordings,
it's over. It's in the past.
Yeah, once we record and we get it on wax and we just kind of that's it. Like I move on. Like my life goes on. Like nothing.
Yeah.
Like I'm still me. Like I'm still the same person, right? Like I just move on. There's always going to be another event. There's always going to be another 3v3. And even if there isn't, I really don't care because I'm kind of over 3v3s at this point anyway. But like,
the only thing that sucked was like your homie.
Exactly. That's the
like,
only
whatever.
part that really fucking sucks is that like I do feel bad for Drew and I hope that he's fine. Haven't talked to him since, so we'll see. But I did want to give him some time to cool off because I know, at least me, I get annoyed when I feel a type of way and people keep trying to calm me down or tell me like
I'm the same way.
Yeah, like let me just be in my feelings, however those feelings need to be right now. Let me go through that. Let me work through that. Do not try to pacify me because that shit does not work. It does not work at all.
That makes me so much angrier, which is probably bad. That's probably a bad mental health look or whatever. But
I don't know. I think people should be able to feel the way they want to feel.
Yeah, but yeah, if somebody like is trying to help me or whatever, like in that moment, I get so fucking angry.
I agree with you, Kenny. I didn't notice about you as well, but I do not like to be pacified.
Yeah, me neither.
And it's crazy that I would even try to do that.
It makes me angrier.
It does, and it's crazy that I would know this about myself and then try to do it to someone else, but I didn't know what else to do.
Yeah.
So I was actively trying to like pacify him and just be like, "Yo, it's not that bad. I promise you, I'm not mad about it." Like, saying all of those things, but at the end of the day, like he felt the way he felt, and also for what it's worth, he is down $25, and like because of me, basically, because I recruited him to a bad team. So there's that.
Well,
it is.
I'm happy. I'm happy is the wrong word. I'm sad that something happened to the homie Drew, but I'm happy you went against your word and decided to enter another team without somebody you knew because it makes for great content.
It does, and I mean, I entered with one person that I know very well and one person that I don't know at all.
Yeah, that's hilarious.
Yeah, so the rule is I shouldn't do that, right? I shouldn't enter with people who I don't know because I also don't know people's work ethics and stuff like that. Like I don't know how they actually
not having your cards at 4 a.m. is crazy.
Yeah, I just thought that's something that probably should have been mentioned the Friday when we were all at the tournament and Xavier was there and everyone else and there's vendors and there's
Xavier could have snapped his fingers and the cards would have been there.
I think he just had them.
Here they are.
I think he just literally physically had them.
The other day I was in a call and Xavier randomly goes like, "Hey, do you want this deck?" to me.
Oh yeah.
And I was like, and he was like, "Don't worry, it's free." And I was like, wait.
Yeah, he just offered you a full deck.
I was like, I do want
just because you like it.
Yeah, I was like, I do want the deck actually, but like, just know that like I'm never going to play it. I'm never going to enter a tournament with it.
And he's I don't really care.
I'll probably play it with like friends or like you know what I mean. I'll like play it, but I'm not going to enter a fucking tournament. But yeah, Xavier's the man. He could have got the cards, no problem.
Yep. Yeah, I mean that's absolutely correct. That's facts. Like Xavier could have got them. Anyone could have gotten him those cards because the same way I got a full max rarity Tengu deck within seconds of asking for it. I could obviously also get a Trap Dust Shoot and a Tribe Infected Virus, right?
Yeah, Trap would be super easy to get. I could see Tribe being a little hard to get because it's only really played in one format. Right. But considering that format is being played at the tournament, there should be Tribes there.
Yeah. So, when you lay it all out like that, it makes everything a little bit more clear. Konami, So here's a little in like ending notes or whatever. Please change the giant cards because the giant cards for this tournament. So last year, Silverman's team got Caius, Mobius, and Ryza, and I thought that was awesome. 3 Monarchs. Caius obviously being the best one, so that one went to Silverman. But really, they just sold all 3 and split the prize. This year, they gave out Judgment Dragon again for the 7th time or 8th time. They gave out Black Rose Dragon again for the 9th time, and they gave out Dark Magician of Chaos, which is at least the 2nd time. It probably is more than that because Konami be giving out these giant cards at like cons and shit like that they do. Like when they have booths at cons, they'll do it.
Caius, Mobius, and Ryza, those were like unique for that event.
They were.
Right?
They were unique for the last year.
And then this time they just did like repos.
They just gave out cards they've given out. Not only like they gave out cards, they gave out so exactly. They gave out cards they gave out so many times. Silverman was saying this, like, if you guys win, you'd be lucky to get half of what you got last year. Because last year I got 6K for the JD. He's like, you'd be lucky if you could get 3K for the JD now, because that's literally the 7th or 8th JD. And for the Black Rose has been reprinted. That was the first ever one. That thing's been reprinted into Oblivion. And the DMOC is also reprinted. I'm not really sure what's going on, but like they really do need to change the giant card to be something unique and that's not been given out. It's a little frustrating at this point that they're overdoing it and basically trying to kill a secondary market, I feel like. I'm not a fan of that. I'm not a fan of that at all. So that's just one little thing. This event had way less interest though. I said it earlier, I kind of alluded to it, but there were half of the teams that there were last year. Last year had 100 teams. This year had 50. People had a really hard time accepting that it was the exact same 3 formats when things like Hat and stuff like that have popped off last year with ample time for them to like make this year's event be different.
They're not doing anything. We talked about it multiple times. They're not doing anything to keep Ultimate Time Wizard exciting. Like the people that love Edison. They're going to keep playing Edison. Same thing would go and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But Ultimate Time Wizard, to beat a dead horse, we've said it in 17 podcasts, but it needs to represent more formats than just Edison all year and then Goat and Tengu and a Gravy. Like,
you do. I feel like you say this shit once a week at this point.
Like, it's crazy. And it's also funny because I do know that, like, when we did the talk with the Edison Club, not the Edison Club. Wait, was it the Edison Club?
We did one with Pudding and Marcus Hayden.
When we did it with Pudding and Marcus Hayden, not the Edison Club. Wait, no, I'm getting confused.
We probably talked about it with both of them separately, honestly.
Yeah. So, but with Marcus Hayden and Pudding, we talked about redo format.
Yes.
And Marcos made the point that a lot of people claim that Edison format players are like unaccepting of other things. And I know that I've seen on YouTube comments for our videos, people saying that like we're unaccepting of other formats and we only like want Edison to succeed. I feel like we've said for over a year now, hey, Konami needs to do more than Edison format.
Yeah.
Like we're blatantly
it's
being like, hey,
it's not even up for debate.
They need to not do Edison format. Like I want Edison format to stay around. It's awesome. But I want Ultimate Time Wizard to represent more formats than fucking Edison format. And then Tengu and Goat once a year.
It would be like if SmashCon only had Smash Ultimate and Melee and nothing else.
Yeah.
And people were like, hey, so this event is called SmashCon, right? It's called Ultimate Time Wizard. And Time Wizard means every retro format, and SmashCon would mean a con with all Smash games. Mm-hmm. Can we get like Brawl? Can we get Smash 4? Can we get Smash 64? Is that too much to ask? Because, you know, last year you guys at SmashCon, hey, this is like the 10th one, but last year you guys did Ultimate and Melee, and we're just wondering if maybe we can get Ultimate Melee, and maybe can we get like an N64 setup? Can we get like a Smash 4 setup? Yeah. Is that, you know, like, it is, I don't even think people are asking for too much. I think that because Melee and Ultimate have had the bulk of every event, if somebody says, hey, can we get an event for this other format, like, that shouldn't be pulling
SmashCon's
teeth.
A party. It has all of the Smash games. Not only does it have all the official Smash games at SmashCon, it has all the unofficial ones too. It has fucking Nickelodeon and Rivals and
imagine if it only had the current one in Melee, and that was it every year.
Yeah,
every year it just has the current in Melee, and that's it.
Sorry. Yeah, it'd be so trash. And yeah, I don't know. Anyway, that's that. That's Ultimate Time Wizard. Hopefully they switch things up. The fact that the giant card is like reprints. The fact that they don't mix up the mats enough. Like like making a mat is not hard. Like there's so much they could do to make it better, but I don't know.
Yeah.
They
well, congrats.
Their website and their app and all.
Congrats to Matt Kalinda and Rick Novak. And I'm not sure of the third guy's name. Sorry. I don't know if we've ever met, but congrats to all of them for winning the 3v3 this year. I hope that if they do another 3v3 that they change at least the GOAT I think it was really hard to find decent GOAT players or people who wanted, not even decent GOAT players. Let me rephrase that. I think it was hard to find people who wanted to play GOATs, period.
Yeah, I mean, I think I could be wrong, but GOAT at one point was the biggest retro format.
What was the only one by default? So it wasn't. It was like it wasn't. It wasn't that it was the biggest one. It was that it was the only one.
My point, but I think that it is not. I don't think it's top 3. In terms
No,
of like
definitely now. It like I would say if you're talking about people showing up to an event and wanting to play in a tournament that is retro format, I think that the hierarchy is obviously still Edison is the event that people play the most. But I would say that Tengu and Hat are the other 2 formats that people, especially if we're talking about the momentum of 2024.
Yeah.
Because another thing that's interesting to me, the best GOAT players didn't even show up for this event this year.
Yeah.
So that's like the Edison people showed up because the Edison people show up. I mean, some of them did. Obviously, there was way less teams. Like, you know what? Honestly, no one really showed up to this event this year. Now that I'm thinking about it, I'm going over the teams in my head from last year. Last year, you had Silverman's team, James Ark's team with Marcus LOL and like Bronte. You had obviously Oscar. I'm pretty sure Oscar played last year. I played last year. My team, a True Hero, played with Anthony Alvarado and Luke Feeney. And there was a bunch of other teams that were stacked, like teams that were just HT19's team. There was a bunch. I'm not going to name every single one, but my point is that last year there was twice as many teams and the teams were very stacked. And this year, I feel like I was one of the only people who showed up who like is known to show up at events. Like Eric didn't show up this year. James Ark didn't show up this year. Silverman was vending. Like pretty much every team that I just named. A True Hero and Luke Feeney didn't show up this year. Anthony Alvarado, who's like the de facto best GOAT player, didn't show up. AJT didn't show up. So it's like, damn, what? Like nobody really wanted to play this year. And
I guess there was just no buzz. That's why you went to the beach.
Yeah. So it just, you can tell by attendance that this event was just not it. It wasn't. People weren't excited like they were last year. Last year was so exciting. 100 teams last year is 300 people. 3 times 100. 300 people showed up last year. This year, you got 150.
Well,
you got half the people. If attendance drops by half, that is not good.
What's so annoying, too, is that Konami might do the thing where they'll be like, oh, I guess there's no interest. All right, it's dead. And instead of like, because companies you can look at numbers multiple ways. There's, oh, we need to actually do the thing that people want, or they'll go, oh, nobody wants this, and then they cancel it all.
Right.
It's like, no, we don't want it to be canceled. We just want it to be updated.
Literally that. I agree. I think that there's a chance that they just don't do this again, which would really suck because it has nothing to do with like people not liking the event. I think people like the idea of the event. I think that the event just needs to change. It just needs to be different formats. Like you can keep Edison. Edison is the most popular. Keep Edison as player B in the middle. You can even keep Tengu, but I do think that the GOAT format should change. And people can debate if they think that GOAT should change or if that Tengu should change. I don't really care that much. I'd play whatever. And personally, like I'll play whatever. I don't actually care that much when it comes to like what. But if I just had to think off the top of my head, and from my experience of seeing how many people were struggling to get a GOAT player, I feel like the GOAT players don't really want to play in this. They don't show up for this, and also the people who are then forced to play GOATs are complaining about it the whole time. The winning team, the player who had to play GOATs was not like happy to play GOATs.
Yeah.
He expressed as much. And Luke Feeney, who was going to be our GOAT player this year, was like not happy about having to play GOATs. So
yeah. Well.
Yeah. All right. Let's see. Why don't I get our Patreon together? Patreon. We're going to get our Patreon.
It would be cool if there's so many things they could do. They could, whatever. It doesn't matter. There's so many cool things Konami could do. Like it doesn't even have to be super old formats. Like they could do like 3 formats from the last like 10 years, from the last 5 years. Like if they wanted to spice it, like there's so many just random little things. Now, obviously some people, I don't know. It's just whatever.
All right. On our Patreon, we have people at the party member or higher tier that we're going to read out their names. Shout out, if you will. Thank you guys so much. There are 67 of you, so we're going to read out every single one. But we have The Guild Authorizes Redo. Love that name. Love it. Leon, Quest, Xavier, This Ain't God, This is Stanley Earl. The Sultan of Slot. You can get cooked in any format. Gabe Marini, Ari Reynolds, First to Home, Hydro Pump, Vincenzo, Dallas Bailey, KJ, Fair Bear, Flash, Sarah Maria, Alex Ahern. It ain't simping if you steady pimping. I love that. I'm not sure. So there's a picture of a JD. I'm not sure if this is Michael Boyd because the next name is the Edison Club. I don't know if that's them too. Like, but this name, the picture is a JD, which is funny. But yeah, it ain't simping if you study pimping. Edison Club trying to get flued out. Love that one. Kyle Patel. Also shout out to Kyle. Kyle got top 8 at the event this past weekend. Also shout out to Pudding. Pudding also got top 8, and I'm really happy that both those guys topped this past Ultimate Time Wizard tournament. Sugal, Vicky Venomon, Elijah Barfall, Talachadeo, Volvi the Mega Monarch, Peacock, D Enraged has landed in Wano Country. Love that for you. Janitor 215, Thomas Rue, Joshua Carroll, Eric Chai, Brian Moore. Behind the Duel Disc podcast with Ty and Justin, Mike and John. And then we have
Free Tim Bailey's Glazed Smooth Butt, Nah I'd Win, Frozen Go Dojo, B-Dog 23, Hershey Bar, Phil, and Poister, Tyler Frasher, Daniel Anderson, Deroa, Chicken Toast to Strudel, Jordan Eastman, Robert Light, Clanger, Pavinci, Travis Lurs, Gores on My Lap, HT19, Gregory Kalmering, Limp Bizkit Jigsaw, Mike and John, Frago, Anthony Japov, Michael Zank, Konjic, Tyler, Neos is my alias, Chris Louie, Bob Cuddy, Peyton Capel, Kevin Garcia, Teth Adam, and Time Wizard 942.
Yeah, Time Wizard 942 is new. Also, I think Tef Adam and Kevin Garcia. I don't think I saw any of these before.
Yeah, those are all new.
I feel like a lot of these are new. Yeah. Also, shout out to Neos is my alias. I actually met him in person at
sweet.
In Vegas. That was actually so cool. He walked up to me. He was talking to me. He was like, "Can you send me a Discord link?" And I was like, "Why would I do that?" He was like, "I'm Neos is my alias on the Patreon." And I was like, "Oh shit, that's you?" And he's like, "Yeah, I never got a link." And I was like, "I'm surprised because I usually send a link to every single person who signs up for the Patreon." But like, I checked the messages, like I actually checked, and I literally never sent him a message. He's been subscribed for a while now, like at least a month.
Yeah.
So I'm human. Sometimes I guess I forget to send a Discord link. So I'm glad that he did tell me. And he was like, "No, I don't want you to do it. You don't have to do it right now. Like, I know you're busy. I know whatever." He's like, "I'm just, happy to meet you and everything." We talked for a little bit, and I was like, "I'm going to send you one right now." Like, I sent him a fucking Discord link immediately, like in that exact moment, because I felt so bad that I never sent him one. But also, if you're on their Patreon at any of the paid tiers and if you never got a Discord link, one, I can verify it, and two, I will get you a Discord link. Part of it is that you're supposed to be in the Discord server or get access to the Discord server. So if that is the case for any of you, please let me know, because I am not infallible. I can absolutely miss things, and I don't want anybody to feel like they got left out. Got left off the bad and bougie. With that being said, guys, do the things that make you happy, including enjoying Vegas despite all that Vegas has tried to fuck on me with these 3v3s. Yeah. I'm glad that at least this happened in a place like Vegas and not in fucking Ohio or somewhere that I just genuinely don't care to be. Like, just some boring part of the world where it's like, God damn it, I'm here and there's nothing else to do except this event. And the only reason I'm here is for this event. And so, like, once the event is a crapshoot, you don't have anything else to do. But in Vegas, that's never the story. So catch you in the next one, guys. Peace.
Peace.